Well, we get it rolling on the Krueger Show after Warrior basketball. Game 3 goes to the Lakers, and they win it going away as the Lakers win by 30, 127-97. Golden State loses this one. Lakers take a 2-1 series lead. Welcome to the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Open Wednesday through Sunday inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Today on the panel, Dan Coach Emilio, Frank Red. We'll be joined by John Dickinson and Cyrus Satsis. No Baller, no Dan, no Carl tonight, no Rye tonight. But, man, no calls tonight. No calls tonight. 127-97. And before, and I've already seen all the people on Twitter, the Warriors are a three-point shooting team. The Warriors don't drive as much. Hey, you can't blame the fouls. The disparity in calls in this game was absolutely astronomical, just like game one. The final doesn't look that bad. Warriors shot 12 of 17 from the free throw line. LA shot 28 of 37. LA had 20 more free throw attempts than Golden State. At one point, it was I looked up and it was 37-9. So the Warriors got the last 8 free throw attempts of the game. That's interesting to make it look a little bit more even. But at one point, LA had a 37-9 free throw attempt advantage on Golden State. And I understand there's a size disparity and there's a style of game disparity, and the Warriors settle for more threes and you don't get as many calls, so on and so forth. But guys, I mean, this is the only way the Warriors can lose to the Lakers, is if there's a parade to the foul line. And yet I don't want to absolve the Warriors of any blame, because the Warriors, when Moses Moody hit that three-pointer, Warriors were up 40-29.
Yep.
They were up 11 points in the second quarter.
Right.
And the wheels came off, and it partly came off because of the officials. Moses Moody, it was called a transition foul, a take foul. The replay, they changed it to a flagrant one. That gave the Lakers, 2 free throws and possession of the ball. Then there was an offensive foul call by AD against Draymond Green. It looked like it could have gone either way. Instead, they called to Draymond on the foul, and Green then gets a technical. So the Lakers got back in it on that one. Then later in the second quarter, LeBron misses a layup. The refs immediately, as soon as the ball rolled off the rim, foul. Like, if it was going to go, he wasn't going to get that foul. That keyed at that point. LeBron went to the line. He had 2 free throws. That run was 17-2. And then it goes on in the second quarter. I mean, there's the technical foul on Jermichael Green screaming from the bench. That gave LA a free throw. LA at that point was up 11. Then there's the defensive 3 in the key on DiVincenzo. That gave LA a free throw attempt. They missed it. Still, they got a free throw attempt. And suddenly the Warrior 11-point second quarter lead, they go into the locker room. They're down 11. They were up 11 to down 11. All in the late
5 minutes
quarter, aided by a lot of free throws and some undisciplined moves by Golden State. Very disappointing from veterans like Jermichael and Draymond Green. That was the ball game right there. I mean, Lakers put a little spurt on them in the third. They wound up leading by 18 going to the fourth, and the fourth quarter was all garbage time. But I know the Warriors turned it over too much, and I know it wasn't all based on the free throw disparity, but that late second quarter is when this game really switched momentum, and it was largely switched on the backs of some really questionable calls and a parade to the foul line once again, similar to game one.
Yeah, they were up 40-29, as you said. Moody hit the 3. Lakers came down and missed. Curry had the ball on the rebound. He was dribbling up. Clay had a step on LeBron or two. Curry threw a one-handed bounce pass, thinking Clay was going to keep going to the hoop, and
Clay didn't see it.
He veered off to the 3-point line, and it just went out of bounds, turnover, and then the parade just started. But I'll say this about the Moody call: if you've ever played basketball, when you fall, there's a natural way to fall to protect yourself from injury. Moody was falling backwards. His arm went back. He never closed his hand to grab Davis. His hand was open and it was extended. Davis hit it. Hit as he was running. He hit his forearm, and it naturally tripped Davis. He didn't trip him. He didn't pull on him. If you watch it really close, he didn't close his hand. He left it open. And, Davis is a big dude. He's a strong guy. He's got the force. So I thought that was a call. And Javi was just getting ready to say, I think it's a common foul when the ref, announced that it was a flagrant. Because Javi was going to say basically the same thing, that was not an intentional, it was just a natural play. And for them to call that a flagrant, to me, it changed the momentum. I don't think the Warriors would have won tonight. I'm not saying that was the reason, but there was even Moody's shot that got blocked. If you watch it closely, LeBron hit him from behind, threw him off balance a little bit. Then Davis went up to block the shot, hit him in the elbow first, and then his arm extended and got the clean block. So it's just, that's going to happen, but that's just the way it goes. The Warriors, they were not they didn't play with any poise that last 5-6 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, anytime that you are the road team, you should have the expectation that you're not going to get a friendly whistle, and the mentality is I want to get an even whistle, right? And you could argue that up until midway through the second quarter, the Warriors had a fair whistle. They were up 11 points. They kind of withstood the D'Angelo Russell barrage in the first quarter. Bron wasn't really doing anything, and they were in pretty good shape. Listen, referees impact the game, and they impacted the game tonight to the extent that it helped the Lakers. All right. Now, I wouldn't, from my perspective, I'm not going to compartmentalize every little call, because even with DiVincenzo in the lane, I mean, the referees don't have a computer in their head. It's like 2-point whatever. They were trying to assess if he was guarding anybody, and he wasn't really guarding anybody. It probably wasn't 3 seconds, but he was not guarding anybody. The challenge that I have with the Warriors is they 9 out of 10 times are the smartest team in the NBA. They didn't play that way tonight. And I think that put them at a disadvantage. The referees wanted to get Draymond out of the game. I believe that because he was allowed to play Anthony Davis very physically in game 2 up in San Francisco. And if Draymond can't be who he is as a defender, it wrecks the Warriors defense. I guess Looney was sick, because I've never seen Looney play worse than he played tonight. So a lot of things went wrong, but the one thing that went right for the Warriors, I'll say, is that for whatever reason, they were able to gas the Lakers. The Lakers look really, really tired, and it'll be interesting to see the adjustments that Steve Kerr makes going into Monday night. But I actually feel pretty good if I'm a Warrior fan. I think they have a good chance to win on Monday night.
I think you're right on the officials as far as Green. I mean, it really a major element of this series is how physical are they going to let it get inside, against Anthony Davis. Are the Warriors going to be able to bring that physicality, or are they going to blow the whistle? Green got that early foul trouble situation going, and that limited what they can do. As far as Kevon Looney, he doesn't look like he's a fit for this series. It's like Anthony Davis is just way too talented for Looney, too quick. He's been neutralized. The other thing was that Draymond Green and Jermichael Green, just terrible. I mean, 24 minutes or 34 minutes combined from those two guys. Draymond had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Jermichael had two points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. So they got 0 out of the Green brothers. So that was big. And then also, I mean, the Warriors did not defend the Lakers at the 3-point line well enough. The Lakers shot 48% on threes, 48% in this game. Lakers also scored 27 off Golden State's turnovers. 19 turnovers is too much. And then the 20 free throw disparity obviously is a huge issue as well. But this game was, this I'll tell you the one thing that's so frustrating about watching this series. The Lakers are old and broken down. AD can't bring it every night. He can bring it almost every other night. LeBron didn't even shoot the ball until there were 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second quarter. How do you lose a game where LeBron doesn't even shoot? But LA is a bad defensive team in transition, and the Warriors can't get out in transition. So, I mean, why you just came off a series where you played incredibly fast against Sacramento. The Warriors had 4 points against the Lakers on the break. You have to push the pace. You are the faster team. They're the bigger team. You're the smaller team. The smaller team cannot also be the team that loses on the break. You know, the fact that Warriors are -7 on the break is bad, but the fact that the Warriors only had 4 fast break points in 4 quarters is unacceptable. I mean, this is not a Laker team that wants to get up and down. You should be able to run them off the floor. And instead, the Lakers have this pronounced weakness is that they're a bad defensive team in transition. And you're not getting out in transition. So you can't take advantage of it at all. I think that is a major aspect of this thing. The Warriors have got to get 14 points in transition, not 4. I think you're not going to get it in the half court and just crush this Laker team. They're better defensively in the half court. They're worse defensively in a full court game. Get in a full court game. Push the pace. Very disappointing. Very disappointing effort for sure for Golden State. I really thought Golden State was the better team. It looked like they were the better team halfway through the second quarter. And then all of a sudden, the wheels come off. The momentum shifted. Golden State seemed really, really either overconfident or undisciplined or some combination thereof, because they didn't seem like it bothered them at all that they were giving the Lakers free throw attempts with jawing from the bench and, that kind of stuff. You can't do that in the playoffs. I mean, you literally have to be better than that. So, Draymond Green, I thought was very disappointing overall. His impact in this game was not good. And then the first half turnovers. I mean, 12 turnovers in the first half. That led to 17 points for the Lakers. I think the Warriors in some ways handed this one over.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the reason why I like to watch the Warriors is because I generally learn something because they're so smart. I mean, tonight they just did not play with any intelligence in that second quarter sequence. I mean, first quarter, midway through the second quarter, they were fine. They were playing good basketball. But, I mean, as a coach and as a player, there's one thing that really bothers me. I mean, I get Draymond getting technicals because that's who Draymond is. This guy's a Hall of Famer. I cannot tolerate role players getting technical fouls. I mean, Jermichael Green, listen, I was happy for him. I thought he should have played in game 2 just to kind of shake things up. But that's kind of been his career. This dude should have made a lot more money. But, he has these moments where he really hurts himself. And tonight, for him to get a technical, especially when you consider how poorly he was playing. Now, hopefully he'll shake it up. But, I thought Kerr was also slow to go away from that because that wasn't working. And the one thing that aside come on tonight, the one time that he's going to have a legitimate gripe, there's no way that Kuminga should not have been in the game before garbage time in the fourth quarter. I don't get it. Looney was hurt. Jermichael Green wasn't playing well. So what could you lose by putting Jonathan Kuminga in the game? Nothing. So, there was some adjustments that Kerr could have made tonight that we didn't see. Maybe he's playing possum for game 4, but I was waiting for him to make some adjustments, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, the Warriors tonight, though, they got outshot on 3 points, 15-13. They had 19 turnovers to 12. They got out-rebounded. And the foul line, as Larry already mentioned, the disparity there was over 20. 37-17 or something like that.
Well, but the worst part, it was 37-9.
Right. In the garbage time, they picked up some more.
I mean, literally, the Warriors were, almost minus 28 in free throw attempts.
Same as game 1.
When the game had been decided. 28.
Right.
That's a ridiculous number. That's not a style of play number. That's a hometown whistle.
Mm-hmm.
They want this thing to go 7. It's
it's going 7. It's going 7.
They're gonna be out there in wheelchairs though. Game 7. All right, they'll be out there in wheelchairs with oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. The other part of this thing. I mean, and people, I know there'll be somebody in the chat. Here goes Krug, his annual ripping or his nightly ripping of Jordan Poole. But Jordan Poole was terrible. Jordan Poole was terrible. Mark Gray, Poole was unplayable, not scoring, and a huge liability on defense. This is even a better one from Digital Drew. Poole reminds me of a newborn horse on the floor. Like he just got his legs before the game.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's the most accurate. That one,
man.
Digital Drew is the most accurate. He is. He's like, he's wild out there. And he's playing so fast. I hate to say it too. It's like any official, when Jordan Poole is like going full speed, he carries the ball like about 8 feet. I mean, he'll bring it from over here and bring it all the way over here. It's like, dude, that's a freaking carry. And sometimes he doesn't get called for it, but sometimes he does. He also doesn't get any calls ever.
Referees
hate him.
I've been saying it for 6 months. Referees hate Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I got a couple of reasons why.
Well, because he's always mugging for calls and that kind of thing. But I mean, but AD was good. D'Lo was good. LeBron was good enough. And then Reeves and Schroeder and then Lonnie Walker, all with double digits off the bench.
Walker looked
and that
good.
Just was enough to put him away.
Yeah. They didn't miss much tonight, though. It goes back to that whole make or miss type of game league. I mean, what were the Lakers percentage wise tonight? Let me look here. What was their total on their shots? They were, as a team, 3-point, they were 15 of 31. Yeah, they're just under 50%. They're, shot 48% from the 3-point line. That's not their game. And yet they were near 50%, and they were 42 of 80 for the field for the night. So they shot 52%. You're not going to beat a team, especially when they get 25 more free throws or almost 28, like you said, 37-9. I mean, at one point, it's just like their shots were just going in, and the Warriors shot great Thursday night. Tonight, they couldn't put it in the ocean.
Yeah, but anybody can make a wide open shot, though. I mean, these are professionals. If you go down to Los Angeles with the intent on winning, you got to guard people. You have to put your hand up. We've seen the Warriors play pretty good rotational defense. And then really deter teams from shooting a high percentage. I mean, tonight it was like shooting fish in a barrel. And, players get confidence. These guys are NBA players. They can make shots. I mean, I saw Schroeder make a shot. He took like a bite of a cheese sandwich, looked at his loved ones in the stands, and then he threw it in the basket. I mean, anybody can do that. You got to guard people. The Warriors didn't do a
Yeah.
good job guarding people tonight.
They didn't.
They did not
play
make
with
the Lakers
intensity.
feel their defensive intensity at all.
They didn't play with intensity, and I think, say what you want, I feel like when Kerr challenged the charge, I mean, Davis just ran him over, and then earlier they called a charge on Davis against Green, and then they challenged it, overruled it. When those two calls went toward the Lakers, I think Green was just like checked out. He was like, we're not getting a break tonight. Because if you look at that play when Davis, he did a chicken wing. He put his elbow right into Green's chest, knocked him backwards, and he led with his elbow. That was an offensive foul, and it was clearly a charge. Green was there and set. And so when those calls went against, I think Green was like, there's nothing I can do tonight. He's had like 5 fouls.
It felt like the Warriors were playing against two teams tonight. It really did, especially in that second quarter.
Yep.
I mean, that entire 11-point lead evaporated all because of technicals and free throws and gifted opportunities. The Warriors' 11-point lead was not cut into by the Lakers. The 11-point lead was basically taken away piece by piece with these terrible second quarter calls. I mean, to me, it was at halftime, I was like, wow. I mean, the Warriors really were the better team here, and they are down at half. Tammy McDaniel says this is on coaching, plain and simple. You guys agree with that?
No.
Nah.
I always put the onus on the players. However, again, we've talked about Kerr being somewhat stubborn. At least I have. There's no excuse for Jonathan Kuminga not being in the game. I mean, he's fresh. He's 22, 23 years old. This is a stamina and endurance series. And why is he in the game? I mean, when you look at that scenario, it looks like it might be a little personal. Coaches hate that, but they sometimes, allow themselves to get fixated in a mindset, and they stop looking at what a player can do or misgressions he might have had in practice. I don't know. But my point is, that's a mark that I see, and I go, why isn't this guy in the game? Especially if Looney is sick and he played like he wasn't 100%, and then Jermichael Green wasn't giving you anything. Why wasn't the guy in the game?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's like he's going to be like the last. He's only there when the game's over, when the game's decided, and that's not bringing everybody along. I don't know, it's like obviously there's been some things where he did not play particularly well, but bring him along. You're not that deep. You can't just banish your lottery picks till the end of the bench and then be like, yeah, we're going to win the title anyway. No, you're not. That's great. You can tell him to sit down, but you're basically telling yourself to sit down. You got to bring him along. Tammy McDaniel says the highlight of the game was the Wiggins dunk on AD. It's a great sequence, and Wiggins did get way, way up on that thing.
That was nice.
It was a great little highlight. Yeah, I mean, it was a real rough one to watch. Legend Peaker 69, Larry really insinuating this shit's rigged. LOL. Well, I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying that it's like we've had 2 games that the Lakers have won, and in both games they've just had a parade to the foul line. And it'd be one thing if it's like, hey man, that's the way they're calling it. They're calling it a tight game. There's a lot of free throws shot here. No. It's not the free throw number, it's the disparity in the free throws in the meaningful part of the game. They were plus 28 in free throw attempts in the meat and potatoes of the game when the game was decided. Plus 28. That's huge. That's an almost an overwhelming thing. That might be too hard to overcome. Plus 28. We're talking about free throw attempts. We're talking about almost free points to NBA players. 28 plus 28. It was 37-9 with 10 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter, and the game was decided. From that point on, every free throw went to the Warriors to make it 37-17. But it was 37-9.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, if Draymond Green or any other player who takes charges can't get a call from a referee, you're going to have a rough night. And Draymond Green is the only all defensive player on the Warriors. So when he can't play his game, you basically wreck their defense. Now, how many times have referees heard remarks from the bench and they turn their head and they walk away? So in fairness to Jermichael Green, he probably said something or he looked at the guy. But did the referee have to call that? No, he didn't have to call that. He didn't.
Very frustrating series. And I'll say this about Jordan Poole, too. 23 minutes. He had 5 points. He had 4 turnovers. If Jordan Poole is not scoring, sit his ass on the bench because he plays no defense. So if he gives you no offense, there is no such thing in basketball that I know of special teams. So there's offense and there's defense. And if he gives you no offense and he's terrible on defense, he probably needs to sit. Right? I mean, am I missing something here? Is there some hidden element of the game that he's awesome at? Because he's been terrible most of these playoffs. Occasionally gets hot, but no offense, 4 turnovers. He's almost got a 1-to-1 ratio in points scored to turnovers. You're never winning any games like that. So that was frustrating to watch. It's weird too. It's like when the Warriors get in these games where they lose control and it gets out of hand, it seems like their angles are different on how they attack the bucket and how they share the ball. When they come back, I fully expect game 4 to have a different looking Warrior attack. As far as, I don't know how it's going to look different, but I can almost guarantee you that the angles that they attack from will be different. I don't know why that is, but it doesn't seem like when they lose some of these games, they're attacking from, they look uncomfortable, like the other team's forcing them to attack from angles they're really not prepared to.
You mean from an offensive perspective? Or
yeah, from an offensive perspective, they just don't look like, they don't look in sync. They don't look like they're running their offense. They look like they're taking what the defense is giving them, and it seems a little free-flowing and helter-skelter, and they just were a lot of bad turnovers in this one, too. I mean, there was a loony pass trying to get back to Steph, picked off. I mean, the Warriors are going to have to be better. The Lakers have some, this version of the Lakers has greater length than we remember the Lakers having, the last 2 or 3 years. There's a lot of long arm guys on this Laker team right now, and they get their arms in the passing lanes. And if you make lazy passes, they're going to get their hands on it. We saw it a lot tonight.
Yeah. I mean, AD's an all-time great defensive player. I mean, and he's playing like it in this particular series. So, yeah, I think, Steve Kerr is good, and his staff are good at making adjustments. On whether or not they work on Monday, we'll see. But I was really focusing on their lack of defense. And I think what you're probably going to see on Monday night is the adjustment of them playing some type of matchup man-to-man zone. They didn't do that tonight. Maybe Kerr was trying to hide that, because when AD goes to the free throw line, and if the referees are going to allow him to drive, just transition to a zone when he goes to the free throw line. And if you got one shooter, D'Angelo Russell, that you have to hedge off, then hedge on him. LeBron's not really making any threes, so there are some ways that they can free Draymond up and adjust to what the Lakers are doing. Offensively, I always like it when Draymond is kind of initiating the offense from the free throw line. He didn't make a shot tonight. He made a couple of shots in the last game. He didn't make any tonight, so they just sink a little deeper when he's not making any shots.
A ton of free throws. In game 1, it was 29 free throws that LA shot. And today they shot a bunch as well. It's hard to believe that this Laker team was down 10 points in the fourth quarter of the play-in game to the T-Wolves. Their season was dangling by a thread. And now, they're up 2-1 in this series and looking like they're in control. It's stunning to watch too. I mean, just a parade of trips to the foul line. It's like one of those things you're sitting there going, wait, am I watching what I think I'm watching? Warriors shoot 9 free throws and the Lakers are shooting 37 through the bulk of the game. It's just a lot of free throws. We're talking about 80 some odd free throws that the Lakers have shot in games 1 and games 3 combined.
83. Yeah.
83. Yeah, 80. Here it is, Brent, right here. 83 to 39 free throw difference in games 1 and 3.
Yeah, double. If you count those last 9 that they gave to the Warriors in garbage time, basically. Yeah. I mean, the Warriors, the Lakers are, getting to the hole much, and they're much bigger, and the Warriors are reaching. They didn't reach in game 2, They weren't.
Well, the other problem is, who is the Warriors' best penetrator? It's probably Jordan Poole, and he doesn't get a call. So if you're a guy that you have going to the hole, is your best guy going to the rim is Jordan Poole, and he doesn't get any calls ever, how do you get inside?
The reason why the reason why he doesn't get any calls is because he doesn't elevate. He's always like leading with his chest to draw contact. They're not calling that. They will only call initial contact when you elevate, and he does not elevate. He thinks he's going to get those touch fouls. He's not. And even if he came to a jump stop and elevated, and there was profound contact, then he would get more calls. But he's leading with the ball, and he's leading with his chest. And yeah, the defensive guy, bothers him a little bit, but the referees don't like him, and it's not a whole lot of contact, so he rarely gets any foul calls. He has to elevate, get the ball over the rim and lay it off the glass, and then if they crash you, then they got to call it, but he doesn't do that.
We welcome in the man who is locked on Warrior basketball, locked on the great Cyrus Satsis. Cy, I've been bitching about turnovers. I've been bitching about Green, both Greens. I've been bitching about Jordan Poole, but I've been
mostly. What are you bitching about the Greens about? What did the Greens do wrong?
Well, they didn't do anything. Draymond 2-2 and 4. Jermichael had 2-0 and 0.
I know, but what could Draymond do when the ref is blowing the whistle every goddamn time? I'll say what Jermichael Green did that was awesome. One play that sticks out to me is he put up a 3. He was 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. But one of those threes, he drew Anthony Davis out to him. So even though he missed the 3, the Warriors got an easy putback with the offensive board. But what could they have done, man? Draymond is not an offensive machine. He's there to play defense and run the offense, not score necessarily. He's not a scorer. But if the refs are going to literally, call these ticky-tack fouls on him and get him out of the game, what the hell can he do? Jermichael Green played 11 minutes. I don't know what he could have done any differently. I also don't know who else you're going to turn to besides Kuminga if your problem is personnel.
Well, I would say one thing I didn't like about Jermichael Green is don't get a technical when you're sitting on the bench when you barely contribute at all. If I said to you, and if I didn't hear, of course I'm here, so I'm talking to Danny and to Frank, and we weren't locked on, but what was your take on Locked On? Without us leading you in any direction, Cy. What was your take on why this game was lost tonight?
Well, first of all, you're the person in the chat, Akshay, who says, by me saying Warriors in 5, I jinxed them. First of all, I said Warriors in 5 or 6. Secondly, last year I said Warriors in 5 first round, Warriors in 6 second round, Warriors in 5 third round. I said so screw off with the jinxing thing, man. If I would have jinxed them, I would have jinxed them last year. Secondly, this game, I look on Locked On Warriors. I rarely, if ever, bring up the refs, man. I don't like to do that. It's too easy of a scapegoat. It's lazy analysis and commentary. But tonight was a joke, man. The reason why I'm not panicking is because the Warriors had control of this game all the way up until the middle of the second quarter. They led 30-23 after the first quarter. The Lakers had a 6-5 advantage in free throw attempts. They were leading 40-29 before the refs finally decided we're going to start blowing the whistle literally every single time Anthony Davis had the ball. Draymond Green said the exact same thing in the post-game press conference. Steve Kerr, to avoid a foul or a fine, said the Warriors lost their poise midway through the second quarter. But again, when the refs are suddenly biased against you, I don't see how that could be any different. I'm totally pointing the finger to the refs this time, man. Between now and tip-off Monday, there needs to be awareness raised about how ridiculous and how ludicrous and how outrageous this is, man. The Anthony Davis had more free throw attempts at the end of 3 quarters than the entire Warriors team. How is that in any way sensical, man? This was all officiating. This was about as rigged of a game as I've ever seen. You can point to certain nuance, right? Kevon Looney, this is not the series for him. I don't like pointing the finger at Jermichael Green again because he played 11 minutes, and when you look at the plus minus, he was not nearly as bad as a lot of other players. He was minus 10. Clay was minus 23. Dre minus 27. Steph minus 26. The technical foul was weak. He shouldn't have gone that, but he was also, the whole team was so damn frustrated. I can't really blame him. So Kevon Looney, though, is a problem, man. This is not the series for him. And then Jordan Poole is a massive problem. He's doing nothing in this series. He's a complete detriment. He's a complete negative. He played 22 minutes tonight, and he rewarded the Warriors with 2 for 9 shooting, 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. He had 4 turnovers on top of that in 22 minutes. He scored 5 points total. So one thing I suggested on Locked On Warriors is Poole and DiVincenzo cannot be playing together anymore. Steve Kerr needs to make a decision of one or the other, and it's obvious who that one player should be, and that's DiVincenzo. Jordan Poole is not helping this team. He's a detriment. So I think besides the refs, if you have to point a finger at this roster and any changes they can make, Kevon Looney cannot be a big part of this, and Jordan Poole, I think, has played himself out of this roster. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, before you even got in here, I mentioned that Poole, I mean, he played 23 minutes. He had 5 points. He had 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
He doesn't guard anybody.
He sucks.
So he's not, to me, he's an offensive player that if his offense isn't cooking, get him off the damn floor.
It ain't cooking.
Because find somebody else. And then somebody mentioned before, I think it was Digital Drew, that he's running around like a horse with brand new legs. I mean, it's like, he's wild. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's losing control of the ball. He's playing a million miles an hour. I don't trust his shot when he's playing that fast at all. It's what's really adds to an already bad situation is the Warriors are a team that only has a couple of guys who can get penetration into the lane and actually drive in and potentially get a call. And he's one of them. But he's like persona non grata with the officials. So that literally neutralizes his greatest attribute. His greatest attribute is that he's the league's best free throw shooter. And if he's not the league's best free throw shooter, he's pretty damn close to it. But that's like a net zero because he doesn't draw any calls.
Yeah.
It's like, look at he needs to seriously assess his entire game in this summer and figure out, hey, I better start kissing ass to the officials, sending them bottles of wine, doing something. I better get in whatever I'm saying to them. I need to get an official and find out, what do you guys think about me? What are you guys saying about me? And figure out how to reverse it. Otherwise, he's not worth that $35 million anyway, but he ain't worth anywhere close to that if he doesn't get calls, because he's not a great 3-point shooter, and he needs to live at the foul line, and he can't live at the foul line because he can't buy a call.
Here's the other thing. The way that he plays, it kills the team's morale. Mm-hmm. It kills it because they know he's much more talented than the production that he leaves on the court. No one said he's not talented. He's a very talented player. But you should not have 4 turnovers in, 5 minutes? 22, whatever he played?
Yeah, he played 22 minutes, but still 4 turnovers. That was second on the team.
It's like, again, there are some other things, some nuances to his game that people pick up on. I was telling Larry and Dan, the reason why he doesn't get fouls also is he doesn't elevate. He leads with the ball and his chest. So there is contact, but they allow some contact. When That's you fair. Elevate to the basket and you are totally exposed and the defender hits you, you go flying. And you get the call because the key is to get the ball over the rim. The ball doesn't get over the rim. That's why doesn't get any calls.
I absolutely agree, man. No, I'm with you. And by the way, the person in the chat, Mario Trutanic, who is a troll who is obsessed with me. I've seen you on Twitter as well. I actually Google these people sometimes, right? If they use a cool name. So, and if this person is an impersonator, then so be it. But I Googled the name, and supposedly you're like a community college basketball coach, yet I've never seen one even remotely brilliant take from you. All you do is whine, and you blame Stephen Curry for being rusty in the Kings series, which had no basis in reality. So my point is, dude, move on, bro. Like, stop being a troll and being a weirdo. But look, this game tonight, the score was 40-29 in the second quarter. The Warriors had complete control of this game. The one thing that changed was the referees suddenly blowing that damn whistle, man. There's nothing you could do about that. Draymond Green was asked after the game, what are you going to do? What are you going to do differently? Right? Like, are you going to do anything differently? Because the referees seem to be picking on you. And he was like, nope, I'm going to just play the same defense I've played for 11 years. I mean, why should I change my game just because I'm suddenly getting picked on? It sucks, dude. It just really sucks that the refs are this involved. But I'll say this. And Larry actually pointed this out in the segment we recorded yesterday. Anthony Davis has not put together 2 straight games at all, period. So
he's one up, one down, one up, one down.
Yeah. So if he's going to break that cycle, maybe we'll see something, but I think the Warriors are going to destroy these guys in game 4. I really do. I'm not worried at all. Are you guys hitting a panic button? Like, I'm not panicked. I don't know.
No, because I just feel like this is not meant to give the series to the Lakers. It's just meant to extend the series for TV. I mean, that's really where I'm at. Rebel DeSound says the Warriors are the better team without a doubt, hence the referees' free throw disparity for the Lakers.
Yeah, getting back to Poole, I saw a clip today on Twitter where there was a little highlight. I think it was in the Kings series. He was coming off the bench or coming to the bench, and Draymond went to talk to him, and he just kind of shoved Draymond out of the way, and Curry came up to him and had said something like, hey, stop doing something like on the court. Curry spoke to Poole about, you can't do this on the court or whatever he did. Didn't show the play, so I don't know the sequence, but what was interesting to me is him pushing Green. Like, he just walked by Green and just kind of pushed him out of the way. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your crap, And
it was like play too, by the way, which is weird. Yeah.
So it tells me that there's something going on with the players getting on Poole, and he's not taking it well. And it could be affecting, I don't know what's going on, him and Draymond, there's still tension there after, the beginning. It seemed like everything was kind of cool.
You're hitting on something that we don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels like it. It doesn't feel like the Warriors are completely 100% united in this run. It feels like they've got a fractured group. And I don't know if that stems from the Poole Draymond situation beginning of the year, or if it's old guys, young guys, if it's the 2 different timelines, if it's, I don't know what exactly, but it doesn't, nobody's going to say anything wrong. Everybody, everything, Raymond's done a nice job as far as keeping their PR, largely positive. Nothing really slips out, but their vibe is like one that is of a fractured team, or at least a team where there's some clear divisions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, and I think it matters in basketball because I think, you're sharing the ball.
Oh, totally.
How you feel about each other matters. And I think the one advantage Golden State has had through the bulk of this run is that so many of the teams they've gone up against have been fractured, or just have been, that this guy doesn't like that guy. And I always felt like the Warriors had kind of a united group. It doesn't feel like that this year. And there's some indications on the floor that's probably the case. To what degree, I don't know. But I think that's playing a part in this to some degree.
Well, and just to build on that, the Warriors, one of their biggest strengths has always been chemistry. So if that's suddenly not a strength of theirs, that's a massive concern. I'm with you. This whole year's been weird, man. But at the same time, it's one game. I'm really confident the Warriors are going to turn it on in game 4 and blow them out. I really am. Yeah.
I think if the Warriors I think if they could get by this series and somehow, make it to the finals and complete the run, this will be Curry's greatest moment because he's having to carry this team. It seems like him and Clay, the vets, there's something going on with Poole and Kuminga, and there's some talk and chatter with these guys that aren't getting their minutes. And I mean, these veterans are in their, mid 30s, right? And you got these young kids that are in their early 20s, and they're like they seem to be pouting a little bit. And Curry's had to make that statement against the Sacramento Kings in that series, like whatever he said. I don't remember what it was. I wasn't there, no idea, but there was alluded to that he made a statement to kind of was spoken to maybe Poole and Kuminga that, hey, get it together. This is a team, and so I know Kuminga's 20 and he kind of gets a little discouraged. He's mentioned it publicly that he's been discouraged, hard to stay mentally ready because he's not getting the minutes. And, this isn't the time for that. It's a 16 games to win. They've got to win 11 more. And you can't have this, and there's such a disparity between this team, between 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds.
There's two ways to look at that, Dan. Like you're right. Kuminga, what you're referring to is Kuminga was interviewed by CJ Holmes for an article for the San Francisco Chronicle. And he admitted that he was dismayed by the fact that despite being in the rotation all year, he averaged 20 minutes a game. And he put up great numbers, for the limited amount of minutes he played. And he was discouraged that he was rewarded for that with just completely being phased out. So on one hand, you're right. Maybe he can articulate himself better. He is 20. But on the other hand, you could also look at this and say, what the hell is Steve Kerr doing? Like, is this the right way to handle a 20-year-old player who has actually been helping you? I mean, Kuminga was playing a huge role down the stretch for those games that the Warriors had to win just to avoid the play-in. I mean, it came down to like the last day, and Kuminga was a huge part of all those games. Like the Warriors started the playoffs like 2 weeks before the playoffs started just because of that logjam there. So I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to absolve Kerr for just completely just banishing Kuminga without any logical reason other than like his excuse, because he's been asked about this. And again, he's a media savant, and Kerr always says, oh, well, it's about the matchups. That's what he keeps saying. It's the matchups. He won't get into specifics. He'll just use that word and just move on. And, I just don't see how if you're Jonathan Kuminga, like if you're in Jonathan Kuminga's shoes, are you just supposed to shut up and take it every time? Like, is that, I don't know if that's the right answer either. It's
what series of guys need to be hurt or in foul trouble or not available before that guy gets some run? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Moses Moody did get some run though. And I was happy to see Moody in there. I think Moody's playing well. I mean, he played 20 minutes. He only played 2 less minutes than Poole and DiVincenzo. 5 points, 4 rebounds. He had an assist. He had 0 turnovers. I mean, that, for a young player to come off the bench and not turn it over, that's a positive for sure. To me, the two guys that are just have to button it up. I mean, seriously, guys, let's get on our game. Is Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson with the ball. These guys are turning the ball over way too much. Klay Thompson especially. Klay Thompson had 6 turnovers by himself. Some of them were, I would say at least half of them were unforced.
Klay used to be an average ball handler. Now he's below average. And I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the confidence after the injuries. The one definitive skill that he has still is he can shoot. He can make shots when he's in rhythm. He has supreme confidence. But yeah, you're right, Larry. I get really, really concerned when the ball's in Klay's hand and he's not looking to make a play, either shooting or initiating a dribble to make the extra pass. But when the ball's in his hands, he turns it over a lot because he's not an instinctive passer. So he's never been a great passer, and he's never been a really, really good ball handler. So
Frank, you know why? Because he doesn't really think about setting up anybody else.
Right.
It's always about, okay, this is a dead end for me. Let me just dribble somewhere and get rid of it. And so he gets into this mode where he's not really passing to advance the play. He's passing to jumpstart the play. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, let me see if I can free myself up. Oh, I can't. All right, I'll just dribble over here and I'll just make this pass. But the defenders know he's kind of apt to do that. And so he's had these like turnovers where it's unbelievable he's turning it over. It's like there's no pressure on the ball at all. He's driving over to another man who's being guarded. So he's driving to a crowd and then passing sometimes without even looking, just thinking that he's just going to make a successful pass. And it's so obvious what he's doing. The defender's just getting his hand in there and slapping at it. And boom, you got a turnover. I mean, he's done that 5 times in the playoffs. We're only 2 rounds in.
That's great analysis.
Frank, I was going to ask you, like, do you think it matters that Clay was a point guard in high school?
He was a point guard in high school.
He was. I didn't know that I didn't learn that until last offseason. And
Wow.
Clay mentioned that and said he's like working on his ball handling so he can kind of take that role on again. Until I heard that, I did not know that either. So and it suddenly made me like pay attention to him a little differently as a ball handler. Because he doesn't look like someone who played point. So I don't know.
I mean, listen, the guy's a future Hall of Famer, but he is not an instinctive passer or ball handler. Even when he was at his best, you know, he was average, maybe a little better than average because he was younger. He could just elude guys with the dribble because he was a lot quicker and he could shoot and contort his body and stuff, so he didn't turn it over. But no, man, he's scary with the ball. He really is. And I think Kerr knows that. Kerr's great at like having this blank look, but if you could read his mind, you know, I mean, God knows what he's thinking when he, listen, you're talking about a guy who got at least 7 rings. Do you know what he must feel when like Jordan Poole start going Jordan stuff? When he starts doing Jordan things? I mean, he's got to play with the Bulls, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, listen, imagine this. Check this out. Jordan Poole probably gets a little upset with the coaching that Kerr and they get on him. Do you think that Jordan Poole could take Phil Jackson? Do you know some of the things Phil used to say to his players that I know about? Or Popovich? Are you kidding me? Oh, my God, man. They would rip him a new one every day.
What is
Nelson? What?
Yeah, Nelly. Oh, my God. Nelly would have parked him in the upper deck somewhere. What is let's just break away from this for just a second. This series is going one way or another, whatever. I mean, it's, you know, I think the Warriors are going down next round anyway. So I don't think this is a title run, but I do think the Warriors are going to get by this Laker team. And I'm not overly concerned about being down 2-1. I think ultimately we've seen 2 games where the officials basically are parading the Lakers to the line. And in those games, if that happens, if the disparity is great enough, they're going to win the game. But beyond that, let's talk about the Warriors for a second. What's the Warriors' direction after this? I mean, what's the Warriors' direction after this season? Is Green back?
Too early to say.
Is if it came right down to you got to separate Green and Poole, and you either got to go forward with Poole or go forward with Green. Are you going with the youth? Or are you going with the guy with the rings? Are you going with, you know, I mean, to me, it seems like they have a weird vibe about them right now. And I think at the end of the year, there are going to be some concrete decisions made. And it's like, I got to think Steph Curry is going to be the guy who makes a lot of these decisions, but maybe not. Maybe it's Joe. Maybe it's Kirk. Maybe it's Dunleavy.
I mean, you got to preface that question, though. Like, it's got to be like a 2-part, because if the Warriors win the championship, that's one answer. But if they fall this round or next, it might be a whole other answer. You know what I'm saying? So I
assume they fall.
Okay.
Tammy says exactly, Larry. Once Draymond punched Poole, Green or Poole should have been dealt. Yeah, but at that point, you know, who you weren't going to get even value. So there's that whole factor. But I mean, if you're, you know, let's just assume the Warriors are not going to win the title, right? I mean, now, there's people in the chat that you know, I just had a starred chat here from a Celtic fan. He says, John Vincent, love the show, guys. I'm a Celtic fan from New England. I found your show during the finals last year. I honestly believe the Warriors are going right back to the finals. So he's a guy that believes the Warriors are going to the finals.
Well, Frank tweeted that they will too, and I cautiously agree with that. The Nuggets scare me. I'm with Larry in that.
But if they aren't going to the finals, then what?
If they can get rid of Poole, Poole's gone, dude. But the issue is, can
you think
get
so?
rid?
You agree?
Oh yeah,
I do. He's. I mean, if you can trade him, I mean that's.
Would you trade Poole and Wiggins for Giannis?
No. Oh. For Giannis? Yeah, of course.
What? Dan,
what?
Dan, you got some
I love that.
Dan is one of those packages.
Dan's got to be muted for that.
One of those packages from the redwoods up in Northern California. You put that in the luggage or something.
Yeah.
FedEx the package also. I mean, what's the deal, Dan?
Dan's smoking the wacky tobacco. I mean, something's going on. The 55 and over crowd is just suddenly smoking a lot of grass. All right, we'll bring Danny back
here. If that's
no, serious. They were talking about
Giannis. Who's they?
The national media, Stephen A. Smith, and they talking about the Knicks. But Giannis,
you sure it wasn't the neighbor in the 55 over community.
Giannis may not re-sign with the Bucks, so you're going to have to package 2 or 3.
Come on,
maybe Green and Wiggins and somebody else, because what's Giannis make? 40-50 million. So
max,
you got to package. You got to package a lot of money.
Let me think about that one for a second. I'd do it.
But I guess the question is, would Milwaukee do it? Obviously, the Warriors would do that. But
let me help you out. No. No, they wouldn't do it.
I mean, unless a nuclear bomb hits in Milwaukee and all the people are gone, I can't imagine anybody would go for that there.
Take probably a little bit more. Probably take 3 or 4 guys. But maybe you might have to throw, if you did
throw in
Wiggins,
the franchise,
Green and Kuminga and Moody, you'd have to do a lot. But Giannis is going to be. You watch, Giannis is going to get dealt in the next year or 2.
What?
I think he is.
Really?
He may want out.
He's going to threaten to leave. Is that why?
New ownership, everything's. Is he going to sign? It's a brand new ownership, so there's talk.
Did they just dump Budenholzer so they could keep Giannis?
But that's why they probably did, because they're thinking they got to try and retain him. So he's going to be. There's going to be talk in the offseason about Giannis. You watch.
You know what, Danny? I think if I were you, I would take a break from this show for like 5 minutes, hit Twitter, and throw that out as a sample trade and see what kind of comments you get.
Yeah, it would be good. Yeah, it would take a lot.
Throw that one out.
I understand. Now. I'm just saying it would take a lot of salary, and that's I threw those guys in.
Well, my buddy Connor Letourneau threw this trade out, and this is just speculation, but he threw out Jordan Poole for Kristaps Porzingis straight up. Your thoughts?
I don't love it, but the Zingers got talent, but I don't love it.
Well, the reason why the salaries match, and Kristaps is going to be on an expiring next year. So if the Warriors don't like it, at least you get that contract off your books. It might be one of the only teams who would take Jordan Poole, right? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That's the only thing Is that
the best deal that's out there? You think?
I think Brooklyn might. I mean, Dinwiddie. Something like that.
I love Dinwiddie, man.
They see Dinwiddie and they go, yeah, he's a good player, but he has a ceiling. I can see something like that. And I also think that Ryan is kind of a wild card, the rookie that the Warriors have who got hurt.
Rollins?
Rollins. I think they think that this kid, with continued development, they're not talking about it, but I think they think he's going to be a player. And, so I don't think that they're overly worried about getting rid of Jordan Poole, because I think they've had success developing guards. So I think that they feel they can do that. Get him off the books. The only way Jordan stays, I believe, is if Draymond makes it easy for them and said, you know what, thank you, I love the Bay Area, but I'm leaving. And then at that point,
Yeah, I don't think they're bringing the 2 back.
I don't think so either.
What if they trade Green and Poole together? Mark Hope says, "Cy, how's Bubba doing? How's Bubba?"
He's good, man. He just passed out down here. He's completely conked out. I got him some from the dispensary. I got him some sort of tincture that has like CBD in it, and he's chill. He is chill. Yeah, because he's an anxious dog, and I'm melting him out. He's passed out right now.
Your dog is high?
It's just CBD. It's not THC, so it's not. I don't. It's not. He's
So
not
what does
high.
it do for him? What's it doing for him?
Some vets listening and reporting.
He just chilled out. Supposedly it's a vet produced medicine. I don't know. But
You don't
he's
know
just
what it
chilling
does?
Here, I'll show you. He's a.
Let's see
I'll
what he
try to
looks
wake
like.
him up
Well,
from
wait till we see
Animal
him.
control.
Wait. Oh my God, he's gone.
Bubba, Bubs. Oh, he's alive.
Oh
He's
yeah, he
alive.
seems like he really loves that CBD.
Animal control.
Bubs, you all right, buddy? Bubba.
Yeah, that CBD. This
Bubba.
reminds me of that
Yeah, he's
something about Mary. You know, get the jump. You have to check the jumper cables.
He's out. That's funny.
That dog is chilling.
He's out.
I love these comments though in the chat. Joey Nichols, Dub should be ready to move on from Dre and Clay. They're about washed. Last game, Clay was amazing, and now you're ready to get rid of him after. It's like,
Yo says stop highlighting Amir. What? Who's Amir?
One in your chat. He's in your chat.
He talked down on our team all year and last year, especially the young guys. Said we can't win the series. Play Jonathan Kuminga. We will win. All right. I was I highlighting Amir? I'm sorry if I was.
I don't know.
Amir, Amir, you're either with us or you're against us.
hey, I'm not worried about these blowouts. I remember the Lakers Celtics series. There was like 2 or 3 blowouts and then it would go 7 games, and it was like, I remember one game, Memorial Day weekend, the championship. I think I can't remember who won it, but they won I think the Lakers won by like 40 or 50 over the Celtics. Might have been the other way around, but these things happen. So, I mean, we just saw a 27-point win and a 30-point win. Now it's like each game is so different.
The chat is rising up. Haruku Atoki, punch Dan. Just punch him.
Yeah.
What if tomorrow you see Warriors hot on the trail of Giannis, first broken by Dan Cochimilio on the NorCal Sports Network. Please check that out.
Hey, him and Steph would love to play together. I know that.
Dan, you would get a lot of general managers fired, man. You come in there. I mean, you come in there with like your nice smile and real calm presence and say, "What do you think?" I got a third-year guy. Jordan Poole's pretty darn good. What do you think about? Giannis probably doesn't want to be there anymore. So,
no,
Giannis,
I'm not saying that. What I'm going to say is that if Giannis wants out, it's a players' league. He'll get out.
No.
If he doesn't want out, there's no way.
That's what they said about Bubba and CBD. If Bubba wants CBD, he'll get some. He'll find a way.
He's usually tired like this.
And then look at Bubba. Bubba's done.
Dan, I'm joking, but I'm thinking if Giannis wants to get out, then he's gone, right? But you got to think of the Clippers. You got to think of like the Paul Georges of the world, the Kawhi. I mean, even though he's hurt a lot. I mean, the top players in the league. That's who the conversation is going to start and end with. Not a guy like Jordan Poole.
I was saying, Wiggins and Draymond too. I mean, it would take three or four guys. I mean, I threw 2 names.
Chase Center and
Steph Curry. Steph Curry would take Steph Curry. The conversation's over there.
Tim Donaghy's crew said, "Yeah, I've heard Dan's hot takes on the Giants moves that never happened. So my guess is this trade won't happen." What do you mean?
I'm not saying it's going to happen at all. I'm just saying that.
What about Trout?
I just think that somewhere, if Giannis wants out at this point, something could happen in the offseason or next season. Because is he going to sign an extension 2 years from now? That's the question. If he says, "I'm not signing it," they're going to get rid of him.
We have this really genius comment here from 14 Ace Windu. Warriors suck nuts. Warriors suck nuts.
Like what kind? Like cashews or almonds?
What's your favorite nut?
Cashew for me.
Cashew? Danny?
Almonds
for Frank?
Pecans.
Pecans.
Good job, Danny.
Look at Danny going
cinnamon
pecans. I'm gonna go with pistachios. I'm gonna go pistachios. It takes a lot to get in there, but once you're in there, man, you're loving it. You're loving it.
Oh, that's what she said.
I knew that line was coming. How did I know someone was going to say that? Because I thought it too. But
you guys know all the nuts? 95.7 Brian. The direction of this offseason will depend on how it ends this season. Well, Brian, thank you for that. If the Warriors lose in 5, the offseason will look way different than if they lose in 7 to LA or in the Western Conference Finals.
It's going to look
finals.
pretty much bad if they lose this series, no matter what, whether it's 5 or 7.
He's up, by the way. Hey, Bubba, you want to say hi to everyone? Bubba, Bubs. Hi, buddy.
There he is.
Look at that. Look at that.
He says, give me some more of that stuff.
He's like,
look at his chops.
Hey, why can't you take me to the fish show? Other dog owners bring their dog to the fish show. Man, my guy's he's slacking here in Russian River. I'm tired of living here, bro. Brian Iglesias says this series will come down to Draymond avoiding foul trouble. 5 fouls tonight, 4 in game 1. If he's in foul trouble, then AD and LeBron will get anything they want inside. Can't be impactful from the bench. I think that's spot on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a good one right there. And we got this one from Brian. He says, hey, fellas, I'm not too concerned with the Warriors' result tonight. I'm going to make an educated guess and say LA isn't going to shoot 52% from the field and 48% from 3 again in this series.
Exactly.
Okay, but I mean, I agree with what Frank said earlier. I mean, NBA players will knock down open threes. The Warriors defensively have to do a much better job at defending the 3-point line.
Agreed.
You have to make them feel your presence as to some level. Otherwise, bad shooters can still hit shots.
Great call. Dennis Schroeder was 3 for 6. D'Angelo Russell was 5 for 8. And I swear to God, man, I didn't see a single hand up for any of those shots. Like they looked completely uncontested. I don't know what's going on there, man. That's poor defense. The Warriors need to fix that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Yeah, it's weird because the Warriors they hit D'Angelo hit those first couple of threes. He hit three in the first few minutes. He had 9 points. 11,
Yep.
First 11 he scored in the game. But what was really odd though is, like Cy mentioned, it was 40-29. And then it was just like, oh, wait a minute. This could get out of hand. It was like,
well, you know what? Where it really started, the turnaround was that flagrant one they called on Moses Moody. That was also a take.
Right.
And that was absurd, dude.
I said that was
he was just trying to protect himself from being stomped in his armpits.
Go back
basically.
And look at it again. His hand never closed. It was open. It was extended. There was, nothing he could have done. And for them to call that a flagrant was a joke.
Yeah.
It was almost like at 40-29, the Warriors were on the verge of possibly breaking it open. And it was like the officials said, hey, wait, we can't let this get out of hand. This is going to ruin the script.
No, you're right, though. I mean, something to that. But again, because the Warriors are more times than not so much smarter, they should have read the script. They knew this was coming, So I expect them to always take the higher road. I always do, because that's to their advantage, And listen, all those celebrities down there in Los Angeles paying $2,000 for front row seat. If you think they wasn't going to give them some meat tonight, come on, they definitely were.
Jack Nicholson was not there, by the way. Has he been does he go to games anymore?
No,
I saw Pat Sajak. Pat Sajak. I mean, how much cash has that guy got? What a life.
I saw Woody Harrelson.
What a life for a Pat Sajak. He probably lives in Malibu. Hey, let's get out to the Laker game,
I love
Dustin Hoffman. I saw Dustin Hoffman.
Yes,
sitting there.
I saw that too. Yeah.
I love some guy, what's his name? Artur Gazarian. Dan just has the look of a drunkard. Don't you guys agree? Last time I was drunk was in high school.
Every good show needs one.
I don't drink.
Why?
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 Yeah, why?
Because it's just personal preference. I'll
have get the fuck out of here. All right. I'm so sick of people who don't drink on my shows. I'm just joking.
Larry and I both have
occasionally.
What's that?
Larry and I, we've had a discussion where we both have trust issues for people who don't have vices. So I'm with you.
That's right.
I have a.
Tell me you gamble too much. Tell me you got some issues. It makes
people who know me that I don't. I'll have some wine once in a while with dinner.
What?
But I don't drink. Period. I have wine. That's
Except when you do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get drunk. Period.
What about that night at Cheetahs?
What's Cheetahs?
Right?
What's Cheetahs?
No, I'm serious. I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I know it's an animal, but
Joey Nichols says Dubs should be ready to move on from Dre and Clay. They're about washed up. Which one do you think is the more? Do Warrior fans have a greater emotional attachment to which of those two guys?
Clay, probably, right? I mean, I would think. I've never heard anyone in Dub Nation.
I would say Draymond, but Clay's very likable. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone want Clay off the team. I've heard plenty of Warriors fans say they want Drake on, so that's why I would say Clay. But I don't know.
What do you guys think?
I think Clay's game is more likely to
age.
Yes, that's the word. Yeah, his game is going to age a lot better than Draymond. Draymond actually, by all intents and purposes, probably needs to go. I mean, the Warriors, unfortunately, as much as they love him, as much as he's given, and they can win a championship this year, he needs to go and experience something else. And I mean, the reason being is because
you, Frank. I'm laughing at the.
Why you gotta laugh at Frank that way, Dan?
No.
That's fucked up.
No. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something that's crazy about the chat. I generally don't care what people say about me.
Good.
So I mean, that's like when some people get bothered. I mean, it's good when people might say something good or bad, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And we're all having fun with it. MF says, I like Dan's Trevor Bauer take. Danny wanted to trade for Trevor Bauer last summer in the middle of his.
But you guys got to know the context. It was so that they could get another player and then release Bauer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dan went full Trevor Bauer, and the chat turned on him, and then he's like, hey, "You don't get it. I'm talking about trading him, not releasing him, and getting prospects." It was one of these trades that was genius, and it was just too nuanced for the chat, and the chat just rose up and said, "No, Dan, no."
Yeah. Let me say this though. I think I made my last comment about the Giants until I watch a few games, man, because they're making me look real stupid. I mean, I said that they suck. The reality is these no-name guys are playing some pretty good baseball in spite of all the challenges that they have individually. I mean, what's the kid's name? Lance. What's his name? I can't think.
For who?
The Giants. It's not Lance. What's his name? Lawton. What's it?
What position?
Yeah. You want Mike Yastrzemski?
No. I know. Yes. The guy who had the clutch hits last year. His name, I can't think of his name. Right now.
Well, you're talking about he's talking about late night Lamont.
Yes.
Lamont Wade.
This guy's balling.
He's been good this year.
He's playing good baseball. Yeah.
We actually have a couple giant comments in the chat here. We might as well get those out of the way here. Let's see.
Yeah, Lamont Wade. The kid's playing, man.
Lamont Wade. Let's see. We have a giant one here. Where is it? I saved
Estrada. Estrada has about 6 or 7.
Here we go.
Yes,
here we go. Eric Hill. He says, "Let's go Giants. We're elated." And then we got this one from MF. Play Brett Wisely.
Oh, in place of Poole, I think that came up earlier during the time when they were,
Oh, here we go. MF. Giants are 9-4 in the last 13 games.
That's good.
There we go.
Break them up.
Where's Ryan, by the way? Does he only show up on following wins?
Yeah, it's not. He doesn't like to face too much negativity. It's bad for his condition. No. I sent him a text. I invited him, and he said that he had to pick up his mom from the airport. I think.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So we got this one. Hi there. He says, "I thought the Giants were going to lose 100 games this year."
Well, they're going to lose 90, right? I mean,
I think they're going to be about a 75-win team. You think they're 500, Danny, or what? What do you think?
80 and 82, right in there. 79, 83.
Which is not horrible. I would go watch a team that can hit a couple of home runs and
that's about all they do, though, usually, is hit a couple of home runs. That's how they get their runs the rest of the game. They get 4 or 5 hits a game sometimes.
Tammy says, "Is Buster Posey still on the Giants?"
It's like what I would ask.
Carlo with this
owner,
analysis. This succinct analysis. The Giants Below.
Yeah.
They're hard to
What, watch?
Yeah, just right now. I mean, you got the Warriors. You just had the NFL draft. We said this earlier during the season. They blew it. They blew the whole off season. They just, they're going to try and compete with the Warriors in May, in April, May, hopefully June. I mean, gosh, and then you look at the games. Whenever I check it out, you see a whole swath of seats wide open in the, right in the prime seats, right behind.
I know what I was going to ask you. Isn't today Saturday?
Yes.
Well, why did the Giants play at home on a Friday night and not wear the orange jerseys? What happened to Orange Friday?
May 5th. It was Cinco de Mayo. They wore the black Gigantes.
There you
See,
go.
they have all the answers
I'm
to
glad I asked.
Yeah.
I kind of like Orange Friday, and then
they don't have the Gigantes in orange. They just have them in black, I guess. So that's why they wore.
They couldn't make them in. They couldn't make
them in time.
Shante Ortega says the Giants suck pistachios.
Yeah, the big news right now in the Bay Area with baseball is not great. Is poor Glenn Kuiper. He got suspended today.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That wasn't intent. I mean, that was just a brain fart, right? I mean, I don't know, man. I know. I've never sensed hate from him.
I can't. I mean, apologize. I can't.
First of all, I know him, and he's a friend of mine, and I know the guy well. He is so the last guy that would ever utter anything close to that.
Yeah, that's what
that was a guy who made a speaking error of speaking too fast. And that's what I got out of it. But
that's me too.
But also I understand why there's this incredible uproar, because he didn't correct himself.
Yes.
And I don't understand why you wouldn't correct yourself.
That's why I think he just didn't hear it. I don't think he even realized what he did. Right. That's what I'm assuming.
I don't understand why you wouldn't. If you're speaking, you know what you said. Why wouldn't you correct yourself? And the other thing I would say, and I'm not blaming Dallas Braden, he didn't say anything, but you're sitting next to somebody. If if one of you in the middle of this live stream said something that was heinous and terrible, I would say, Cy, time out.
Right.
I think you don't know what you just said. And I would call attention to it, and we would put it to bed right there as a misspeak and allow you to clarify, right? And because I care about you guys as people, and I would know that would be dangling, and I would be like, hey, look, I know what I just heard, and that can't be what you wanted to say, and I'll give you an opportunity. Kind of, who I think did a really nice job when he was sitting there when somebody said something blatantly racist was Ted Koppel. And I remember I was 17 I was 17 years old. I was 17 years old. We were at spring break. We were down at Disneyland. We're at a hotel, and we're sitting there. My whole family's sitting there. We're watching Nightline at 11:30. Ted Koppel asked Al Campanis, and it's like, oh, Nightline's about baseball. I'll watch it. It'll be great. And then he asks him, why are there not more black field managers? And he literally said that they don't have the credentials or the skills. And then Ted Koppel goes, you don't believe that, do you? And he allowed him at least to either walk away from it or to kind of reframe it or to add to it. And instead of making it better, Campanis made it worse, and he was out of a job. And going into that interview, he was one of baseball's most respected.
He was the Dodgers GM, right?
He was one of baseball's most respected executives, and his career ended that night. And the Dodgers had to pick up, go in a different direction. I think they went with Fred Clare, and it was a huge controversy. But
didn't he make a comment about swimming too, or was that Jimmy the Greek?
I don't know. I think it was just about him saying that
comment.
Yeah,
he said that he didn't feel like black people had a chance to be managers or general managers or had the skills. It was like, what? And Koppel kind of said, you don't actually believe that, do you? And he's like, well, and I clearly did. He clearly believed it. So he had to go. Frank, it's easy for us to comment on this, but your commentary, I think, would be more appreciated. What was your assessment? I don't know if you know Glenn, But what was your assessment of the situation, and what do you think should happen?
Well, I actually commented on Twitter about it.
Did you?
And yeah, I did. And basically what I said was, I don't think he should be fired. But I heard his response before I actually heard his statement. And
You heard his apology, you mean?
yes. And it didn't come off real well. You know, so from the A's perspective, I'm like, you need to help this guy because, he didn't sound contrite at all. You know, he kind of implied like, you know, the word that he used didn't come out right in his delivery. And those two words really are not really the same. You know, so had he taken ownership and said, listen, this is the Negro League Baseball Museum. I wanted to get this right. I am so contrite. You know, just being really effusive in his apology, I think that immediately people would have been like, this is Glenn Kuiper. This is a great guy, you know, man of the people. But his delivery, his non-apology didn't come off real well. And I think that got him. So hopefully during this time in which he's suspended, let's actually give him an opportunity to express himself in a way that connects with people and actually move forward. Because if any of us said something like that, we would be horrified and totally embarrassed because the tape is going to be there. But
that's what I think.
Why wreck this guy's life? Why do that?
When I heard his, it really wasn't, it was somewhat of an apology, but
it was a response.
It was a response. He almost sounded like he was in shock that he he knew he was in trouble.
Is that Bubba?
Yeah, he woke up.
Yeah, sorry. Bubba's got the munchies, man.
I thought to myself, if I was on air and slipped and said something like that, I would be like scared.
Mortified.
Yeah.
I thought he was. I thought he sounded terribly scared.
Yeah, I thought he sounded really scared because then he went right back into the pitch. You know, he had to broadcast the game. And it was like he sounded shook. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I do know Glenn, and I've known him for a long time, and
he still owes me a sandwich for a bet he lost to me 20 years ago. So I'm still waiting on the sandwich.
And I've never heard him ever make any statement, anything close to that. He's like actually one of the sweetest, kindest, most thoughtful, kind-hearted, genuine people. And that's totally like him, unlike him. I mean, he loves everybody. So I just tweeted out that he obviously he's a great guy, but he made a mistake. And that in my opinion, it would be a huge tragedy if this misspeak cost him his entire broadcasting career. But it's easy. That's easy for me to say because I'm not I'm not a black person listening to that. And I'm sure there's too many people that have heard that too many times and aren't really wanting to stomach the explanation or anything else that goes along with it. So I do understand that. All I'll say is this, is that your body of work as a human being, not just your body of work, who you are as a person, I think should factor in to some element of this. And I hope that we can get beyond the gotcha moments and really sit down and have real dialogue about how people feel and about, so we can get beyond the things that divide us and get more, because there's so many more ways that we are alike as people than different. And it's like to keep highlighting our differences, I think is a polarizing tactic driven, I think, largely by our media and our social media. But I know Glenn well enough to know that he's going through hell right now. And so my thoughts are with him, and I hopefully, whatever he needs to say to correct this, whatever he needs to do to understand. I mean, and I'm not even about understand, because I'm not going to talk down to him like he doesn't understand what he said. I'm sure he's a smart guy. He understood what he said. And I think his apology was awful, and it sounded the word I would use for his apology is incomplete. It sounded incomplete. But I also agree with Danny that he sounded terrified because he knows that everything that he's spent a lifetime building could be gone that quickly. We saw it with Tom Brenneman.
It's
so
really
it's really a terrible, unfortunate thing. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I
feel
can't
bad for him. I really do. But I'll say this, two things. One, the director of the Negro Hall of Fame said, I can't judge his heart, something to that, but I do believe in forgiveness. So he apologized, and let's move on. I'll say this. The other thing I'll make is I don't know how you mix those two words up as a broadcaster when you're getting ready to say what you're going to say. I don't even know how that word enters your mind. I really firmly believe it was a misspeak, a true misspeak, where he said the wrong word and he said it the wrong way. But you have ears and you heard what you said, and if I'm shocked that not that he flubbed, but that he flubbed and didn't correct himself and let it dangle like that. Who cares?
That's why I think it was an accident.
Correct yourself.
That's why I thought it was an accident, because he just kept going that's like literally the ugliest word you could ever say. I think and the fact that he just kept going. Now the Dallas Braden part of it, I mean, he's sitting right there,
yeah,
and there was no reaction from him. That part was weird. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, aren't you gonna, he was all like smiling and going it was weird. That part was weird to me, but yeah. I hope that was an accident, man. That's all I can say about it.
We welcome in John Dickinson to the mix. JD, ugly game for the Warriors tonight. 127-97. They lose by 30. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, JD, that we've spent the entire time talking about officials, but I know I saw Steiny's tweets on, hey, it's not the officials, and it wasn't all the officials, clearly. But the officials definitely had a huge hand in the momentum swing of the second quarter. Give us your sense of, or your takeaways, your primary takeaways from why the Warriors lost this game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the officials were definitely part of it. I wouldn't put the officials up there as the primary reason, but by any stretch. I mean, the Warriors were getting what they wanted. They withstood this early run from D'Angelo Russell where he scores the first 11 points and the crowd's kind of into it. And you're thinking, okay, it's going to be that kind of game. But the Warriors, after being down, 11-4, they pretty much dominate the first quarter from that point on. And they're up 30-23. They push it all the way up to 40-29. And, to me, the game flips. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it. Steph hits Clay. Clay's not running. Clay's not looking. It turns into a turnover. If that's a layup or a foul, the Warriors are up 13, and the Lakers are probably calling timeout. And we're thinking that game 3 in that moment is an extension of game 2. And it looked like, hey, the Warriors withstood this little initial push by the Lakers, and now they're taking control of the game, and they're able to do a lot of the things that we saw them do in game 2. And so, in that moment, to me, it was the turnovers that flipped the game. And then the fouls came, and then they got frustrated with some calls, and then they started missing shots and couldn't get it back. And the whole thing just turned into this avalanche, the 22-2 run, the 30-8 finish to the quarter. And then in the second half, the Warriors just couldn't get anything going offensively. I mean, there was the 12-minute stretch where they scored 12 points in 12 minutes, and the Lakers over that time are shooting 20 free throws. So it's just, it gets away, and then the Lakers are confident, and the crowd's into it. And it kind of turned into an all systems fail from that point forward. But to me, it was really more about the Warriors gift wrapping the Lakers' ability to get back in the game when they really had no action than it was the calls. The calls became, I think, a part of the story and a part of the frustration when other things weren't working.
And just to add to that, JD, the Warriors scored 2 points in the first almost 5 minutes of the second half. I mean, like I remember looking up and it was like they had 50 points and it was like 7 minutes remaining. I'm going, what the hell is going on here? That's just awful offense. Awful. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it went 12. It was from 7:35 of the second quarter until 7:35 of the third quarter. It was 12. I mean, so we're talking 12 full minutes. They had 12 points, and that basically is your ball game. You know, Klay Thompson came out and was playing really well early, and then he wound up having, I mean, one of his just worst stretches of basketball that we've seen. And it's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, this game was it was just so indicative of the Warriors season in the sense that just when you think they're about to seize control of their season, of a big game, of a series, whatever it is, it goes completely the other way. They lose focus. They, you know, things start working against them, and they get, you know, really frustrated by it, and they dig this hole for themselves that they can't climb out of. And then we all kind of pounce and talk about it, and rightfully so, and everything that went wrong, and they're in big trouble, and what's the answer or the response. But just as evenly this year, when we think they're in major trouble and they're going to fall off the mountain, they come back with an amazing performance, a la Game 5 in Sacramento, a la Game 3 of that series when Draymond Green was suspended, or Game 7 with Steph doing what he did, and just an ultra competitive, you know, type game. Hell, even Game 2, when it looked like the Lakers were very comfortable coming off of Game 1. And so just been so much what this Warriors team has been about this year, unfortunately.
Well, there's a reason for that, though. A lot of what you're talking about it's fixable. You know what I'm saying? These are turnovers and mishaps that are not really caused by the defense. So when they watch the tape, and you know, they'll say to themselves, "What the hell was I thinking?" What you can't fix is the tenor of how the games are refereed. And I never talk about referees, but referees matter. And okay, the first offensive foul that they didn't call on Draymond, okay, that was fine. You know, it wasn't a hard hit. But the next one, when Anthony Davis totally committed himself to getting to the basket, I don't even think he saw Draymond. Draymond was standing there. That was an acute call that could have went either way. So that made me think that.
What is that noise?
Yeah, what on me?
Tearing down the court?
Yeah, they're tearing down the court here at
Okay, cool.
I was like, JD is just kicking the heck out of his bag or something right now.
They're moving some bleachers around.
No problem. I thought maybe it was Bubba looking for a snack.
I can click the mic off, though. I'm actually finally using my mic here. I got my Rode kit with me, so I'm finally using it. I can click the mic off in between.
No, not at all. Not at all. You're fine. I just wasn't sure. I interrupted somebody. Go ahead. I think Frank, you were going.
Frank. I'm just saying, if they called that offensive foul on Anthony Davis, the one that they overturned, I guess, then that changes the tenor of the game. Unless Anthony Davis knows that, you know what, I got to shoot that 16, 17-foot shot, even if I don't want to. I can't drive to the basket if there's a guy already set there. Now, from Kerr's perspective, they could have very easily gone to a matchup zone every time that Anthony Davis veered to the free throw line area. They didn't do that. They stayed in their man defense, and that hurt them.
Yeah.
In a zone, then he would have had to take that shot and actually take a part of his game away from him. So I think the Warriors will be fine because they have correctable errors that they can address, but they cannot address how referees decide that they're going to call the game.
I mean, when a player's in foul, this is 2 out of 3 games now that Dre's been in foul trouble. Like his rhythm's being directly impacted, rotations are being directly impacted. The referees are putting their fingerprints on these games, and it sucks, man. Like I hate when referees become a part of the story, and they do this way too often. I'm with you on that, Frank.
Well, if anything, the trajectory
JD.
would tell you the trajectory of this series would tell you that it's going to flip back the other way on Monday. I mean, I'm not a believer. I hate being a believer in that, but the way this series is gone, I mean, how can you not think, oh, they're going to let the Warriors play a little bit more on Monday night than they did tonight, and we'll see if the Warriors Larry can correct some of those other things that are correctable that Frank was alluding to. I like the zone deal. I think they do need to go to a little bit more of a matchup type zone. I think that's a real nice adjustment for game 4.
I definitely want to talk more about that. I also want to get both your guys' thoughts. And JD, we've expressed our thoughts about Jordan Poole, but a lot of them are negative, right? Because Poole is not playing well. 5 points, 4 turnovers. He doesn't guard anybody, but he's not scoring, and it's a weird situation. But you've seen the Warriors this year, and you've seen Poole have up games and then down games. When they try to get him kind of re-going, what are things that Kerr and the coaching staff have done? And based on what you've seen, what would you try? Because I don't think they can get through. To me, this was a series where I thought Poole would dominate, and instead Poole seems to be struggling. At least tonight he was really bad. What gets him going? What is it in game 4 that turns his series around in your mind?
Well, I think they're going to put him in the starting lineup, and you think that's like, God, how could they do that? Because he was so bad tonight, and I thought he actually came out focused tonight. Like I thought he had a little bit more of a purpose to him. And then when everything went awry, the wheels came off for him as well, and it turned into a lot of what we've seen pretty regularly from him. But I'm just looking at what can Steve Kerr do. I think I'm done with the JaMychal Green thing. It was fine for game 2. He hit some 3-pointers. It was kind of this found money, 15 points, and you'll take it. I thought it made sense to stick with it. Hey, you never know. Maybe he gets out there and he makes a couple threes early again, and the Lakers are like, damn, like, what the hell are we going to do? We're giving this guy these shots, and he's killing us with it. But I thought that was kind of a low-risk move because he's really only playing the first 5-6 minutes of the half. And so if he's bad, you cut bait, and he just doesn't play probably the rest of the half or the rest of the game. But now I think the Warriors have to figure out how to ignite their offense. And the best way I think for them to ignite their offense against this Lakers defense is to spread the floor and go smaller and open up the spacing for some driving lanes to get to the basket a little more unabated than they were in game 1, in game 3, and just try to also put some pressure on the Lakers to keep up with them. Hey, we're going to get our offense going and get into a rhythm. Now you, as a team that doesn't score at the clip that we can score at from the Warriors standpoint, can you keep up the pace, and are you going to be disciplined enough to run your offense the other way, the way you have to get the fouls that you need to function, to get to the free throw line to function? I think it's harder for the Lakers to have that kind of patience when the Warriors are really spreading them out and attacking and drive and kick, and the way Steph Curry controlled game 2 and just kind of getting everybody else involved. So I think the Poole equation, and I really was trying to look around at, is there another option, because Poole hasn't played well, but I do think it's twofold. It's you need your best players to play well to win these playoff games. And there are fringe moves that can be made with, a DiVincenzo or a Moody or a Payton or even a Kuminga. But to me, it's about, you got to trust the guys that are the headliners. And that means Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins. I think this is not a Looney series because it's just not the best matchup for him. So I think it's less of him. I think we've seen the JaMychal Green experiment work and then not work. It's time to put that on the back burner, I think, for now. And put Poole out there and try to get his offense going, the spacing for the team as a whole going. And he's still somebody that I think, with all of his faults, that you trust to be able to have a big game playing with the other regular players at a greater level than DiVincenzo or somebody else. And so, to me, it's always keep it simple, stupid. And I think the keep it simple is, hey, Jordan Poole is their next most important player after the guys I've mentioned. So you kind of ride or die with him. And if he's bad again, then it might be over anyway at that point in time, if others are not there among the core guys, the main guys to help hold him up. So I'd throw him in there and
plus he
and
does
let him
better
go.
starting. He does.
Yeah.
He does better a lot of times starting than he does coming off
He's
the bench.
empowered by it. He just,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, he is empowered by it, and I think you get a better Jordan Poole.
One thing I'd like to see him do, JD, is the Warriors, when they just run their offense and try and hit singles and doubles, don't try and hit the home run constantly. They usually control. They keep the turnovers down. Tonight it was 40-29. They had a chance to go up 13 or 14. Just come down, run the offense. But Curry threw that one-handed bounce pass to Clay when Clay veered off to the 3-point line. He wasn't looking, and he might have had a layup. It might have worked if Clay was looking, but it was a risky play, in that it was just a one-handed, bounce pass, and Clay's usually not going straight to the bucket like that because he only had a step on, I think it was LeBron. But had they just run their offense, come down and scored, maybe they're up 13-14 and that, things get a little bit, but all of a sudden the wheels fell off right after that.
Yeah, I don't think the answer. First of all, you brought up the Curry 12 assists, which reminded me, for some reason, they ran the pick and roll a lot more than they normally do in game 2. It worked wonders, and then they abandoned it. I don't know why. We didn't see the pick and roll that much tonight again, and that's something they should be running more often because I've always believed Stephen Curry is one of the best to run the pick and roll in the history of this game, even though they don't run that offense typically. He is excellent at it, and we saw that in game 2. But game 4 is vitally important. I've lost trust in Jordan Poole for this series, man. I know he does put up way better numbers as a starter. I think over the season he averaged almost 25 points a game as a starter, and then coming off the bench, it's down to like 17 or something like that. But he's become such a liability and game 4 is so important. I don't know if you can risk that. It's a gamble. It's a huge gamble rolling with Jordan Poole as your starter in game 4. And like the JaMychal Green thing, it didn't hurt them this game. And an example of that is, he didn't score tonight, but one of his 3 3-point attempts that he missed, Anthony Davis came out all the way to the 3-point line to contest it. So JaMychal Green is a big enough threat where the defense will still respect him. And in that play where Anthony Davis came out and attempted to block that shot, because Davis was away from the basket, the Warriors got an offensive rebound and put back for 2 points. And those opportunities come when you space the floor. And I don't know. To me, this team is so small as is that to go even smaller, I can't endorse that, dude. I don't know. That scares me, that idea, but that's me. I don't know.
John Vincent says, keep up the good work, Larry. The Dubs always find a way to bounce back. As a Celtics fan, I found that out firsthand in the TD Garden last June. This has been a very frustrating series to watch so far, but it doesn't I don't really feel like the Warriors are not in control of the series. I still feel like they are, even though they're down a game.
Same.
Brian Iglesias says, I would not be surprised if the Warriors win game 4 because they'll be the more desperate team, and the game favors the more desperate team. LA cannot convince themselves they're down in the series. What do you think we're going to see in game 4? Obviously a desperate Warrior team. I heard Van Gundy say that in a best of 7, if a team wins 2 in a row, they go on to win the series 90% of the time.
I heard that too.
We've yet to see anybody actually win 2 games in a row in this series. What are you guys expecting to see in game 4?
I expect the Warriors should be a lot sharper. And I think the veteran players, I would expect them to lead. And their closeouts. I think you win these series against the really great teams with defense. The Warriors are going to score X amount of points, but when their defense is not good and they're playing from behind, it's a problem. I also expect, the referees to allow the Warriors to be more physical, and I think that is the key because if you allow Anthony Davis to do what he wants to do inside, he wrecks your defense. And Draymond is smart enough to play physically and box him out and bother him, unless the referees are calling fouls. So I expect the Warriors to be in contention to win this game. I expect them to win. I expect them after game 4 to be tied 2-2.
What are you expecting, JD? Is there a wrinkle that we may see that we're not? To me, it just seems like if there's not a parade to the foul line, the Warriors have a great chance. But I guess, the question is, what's your primary takeaway today? Is it that, do you believe Kerr, who said, hey, you know what, we lost our poise in the second quarter?
Oh, they
Or do you
definitely
look
did.
at it? Do you look at it like, hey, the refs impacted this game dramatically? Or do you point to the Warrior players as they just didn't do enough in this game on the floor, and it wasn't really about the refs or particularly about the poise that they showed or didn't show in that second quarter? What do you think,
Yeah,
JD?
I think it was more on the Warrior players. I mean, they allowed the Lakers to get back in the game, and then they had some calls go against them, and then they got pissed off because the calls were going against them. And we could debate. I think the block charges. I mean, the Draymond was 0 for 3 on block charges in this one, and 2 of them got reviewed and went the opposite direction.
I know he seemed to be
him.
really
So,
pissed off about it.
yeah, and so I mean that tells the story as far as that goes, and I think the Warriors were kind of thinking at the point in which they weren't playing as well, and the Lakers are starting to take control of the game. They're thinking, oh, here we go again. This is like game one all over again, and they did lose their composure. As far as game four, I think it's better offense leads to better defense for this Warriors team, and that's where I think, to kind of go back to what I said before about spreading them out, and maybe it is a roll of the dice to go with Jordan Poole, but I don't think Steve Kerr views it as big a roll of the dice. Like, do you want to roll the dice on Jordan Poole, or do you want to roll the dice on JaMychal Green? And no disrespect to JaMychal Green, it's like, I'm going to roll the dice on Jordan Poole at this point over a journeyman 33-year-old forward center, right? Who's bounced around a lot and hasn't played a lot for this Warriors team. So I think that's probably what the move is going to be. It's better off, sometimes when you spread the game out and you play faster and there's more, more emphasis on, because you're playing smaller, having to in turn play bigger, right? You got to do the little things. You got to block out. You got to attack the defensively in a way that maybe you don't if you've got a more traditional lineup out there. That sometimes the game can just be more connected between the players that are out there on the floor. So I think you want to speed the Lakers up. I think you want to try to run them. I think you want to try to tire them out if you can. And I think you want to put the pressure on the Lakers to match you, because I think if they try to do that, that's where the Warriors defensively can dig their heels in, like Frank was talking about, and maybe they get frustrated if they're not getting the whistle that they spent the last 2 days leading up to this one talking in the media about the fact that they basically had to have it to win the series. I mean, I can't remember a team putting it so bluntly in the off day between the series. It basically like, yo, if we aren't plus 20, plus 15 or 20, then we can't win. And right. I mean, it's interesting when you look at it, right? If it's even in a way, if you call it the way that it was called tonight and in game one, the Warriors have no shot. If you call it the way that was called in game two, you could make the case the Lakers have no shot. So where is the balance going to be between, the way the game is officiated to where both teams can say, hey, we equally have a shot, and it can come back to at some point being more about the basketball and the contrast in styles, which I do think is the beauty of this series, in addition to just all of the superstars and the greatness that's out on the floor. I mean, we're talking about some all-time players in this series, and I feel like, unfortunately, we haven't really, for the most part, gotten the opportunity to see them go back and forth and attack each other in the kind of games that I think this series was billed as having. Like, I think this series 3 games in, forget about 2-1 Lakers or whatever and who your rooting interest may be in. I mean, to me, this series has not lived up to the hype, just based on the fact that you've had 2 of the games be wholly unentertaining. And the first game, I think, was exciting, but it was marred by a lot of the same stoppages that tonight's game was kind of marred by.
Digital Drew says, I think AD's ribs become a factor in game, or he says he's asking the question. Think AD's ribs become a factor in game 4? He landed on Green's knee in that foul in the first half. He did look like he was in a lot of pain. I don't know if he was acting or whatnot, but you think that's a factor for game 4, AD's ribs?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's funny. I probably shouldn't joke about this, but I kind of made the joke. If you watch the Lakers a lot during the regular season, I mean, there's an Anthony Davis injury scare at least one, like he averages one per game. Like there's one per game where he's on the ground and you think his career is going to end, and then he pops back up, and a lot of the time he's okay. And in this series, that hadn't necessarily been the case. I kind of made the point that he's still not at his average for the series, because I think tonight was the first time there was the true like, he might be done kind of moment in this series, which he's not quite to one per game in this series, which is below par if you watch them on the regular. So now we'll see. I think he'll be fine, but his problem has been his inability to string together 2 games consecutively, like the game that he had tonight or the game that he had in game 1. So the pendulum of this series would tell you Warriors are going to be able to play more freely. Warriors are going to get a whistle that they're more content with. Davis isn't going to quite be as effective, and that's going to open the door toward the Warriors at least having an opportunity to win the game, if not taking it.
Yeah, and look, the Lakers in this game shot 48.4% from 3 and 52.5% from the field, and they're not going to do that again. I mean, those are phenomenal numbers. So that's going to come back to earth a little bit. We got to hope the refereeing is somewhat objectively fair. I mean, I just don't see how you can possibly give that a pass. And I really hope that there's awareness raised for this between now and Monday, so that there's, they kind of give a little second thought to blowing those damn whistles. I felt like every single time Anthony Davis got the ball, there was a whistle blown. I can understand Draymond Green being taken out of it mentally when 2 straight challenges go against him for those charges. And there was a third one as well. So I'm gonna guarantee you Warriors win a game 4. I've never seen this Warriors team. I know they're different. They're not the same team they were in previous years. Their core is aging, but they've never lost a game ever when the urgency's there and they care and they're fully healthy. So I think that pattern will continue, and I'm confident that we'll win in game 4.
Brian Iglesias says spreading the game out and going small makes it more crucial that Draymond stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah,
in game 4 going forward in this series.
And Kurt's got a huge issue here, man, because JD's right, and I've said this on Locked On Warriors. This is not the series for Kevon Looney. Like, there are certain matchups that he just does not excel in. This is one of them. But when Draymond Green gets in foul trouble, what the hell are you going to do? I mean, this is where they have a personnel problem with size. They had a lineup out there in the third quarter when they started getting slaughtered, where the tallest player on the floor for the Warriors was Klay Thompson. That's a small-ass team. This team used to get away with small ball when Steph, Klay, Dre were at the peak of their powers. I don't know if you can get away with small ball with this iteration of the Warriors. So if it's not JaMychal Green, that's the answer. Jonathan Kuminga is the only other player I could think of, because otherwise you are a small, diminutive team against a much bigger Lakers team. And I don't know what Kerr's answer is to that, but he's got to figure that part out of it for sure. But I'm still confident they'll win game 4. I think, in my opinion, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, the Warriors are the better team. Like, I look at these 2 teams play, and the Warriors, to me, are objectively better. They're faster. They're more skilled. They're better coached. But the refereeing thing was so impactful tonight. I don't know how you can ignore that part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and hopefully the league will tamper that a little bit for game 4, I hope.
Well, I mean, it definitely was a theme. I don't know if it was the theme, but it definitely was a theme. Shardal says Golden State will bounce back in game 4 against LA. Thank you, Shardal, for the super chat. Let me ask you this, because I hear what Sai's saying, but at the same time, the one thing about the Lakers is the Lakers are not a good transition defense team. Now, if you're gonna go small, that's fine, but you have to get out and run. I mean, you have to get out and get easy buckets. You can't have this settle into a half-court game and then play small. Playing small means playing small and up-tempo. And to me, I look at LeBron, and, man, the way he went diving into the crowd tonight, I mean, that was a miraculous play. He's leaving it all out there. But he didn't even score until there was 5 minutes left in the second quarter. LeBron is limping towards – this is truly a war of attrition. It's now May. He's been going at it. He doesn't look good at all. But if Golden State's going to play small, they can't get killed on the glass, and they have to get out and run and get fast and have a plus 10, plus 12, plus 15 fast break point disparity, and it's not happening. So, JD, when you see the dilemma of, man, if you play in the half court, you need more size, but man, the Lakers are much better defensively in the half court than they are in the transition game. What do? Do you get out and run and just hope to control the turnovers, or do you try to play half court and go bigger?
You got to run, and you got to go small, and you got to ride it, and you got to try to break them. We've seen the Warriors with their superior conditioning over the years and their just ability to be more physically stout, break teams down physically, and it's been typically game 4, game 5, game 6. You know, the Warriors have been in this position before in a bunch of different series through the years. The Boston series most recently last year, down 2-1. TD Garden's going to be nuts, and the Warriors are able to win that game. And effectively, the series flips, and they were in control from that point forward. We've seen them do that.
They won 3 in a row after that. Yeah,
you got it. But to me, it's the old, it's the Don Nelson, it's the bigs versus the smalls. The smalls are going to win. Like, to me, you double down on that because the Warriors just don't have enough quality big options. They just don't. And especially among the players in this series. And that's also your bread and butter as to, the biggest reasons for a lot of your success historically. And so to me, if you're going to go out, that's the way you go out. You go out with your best shot. And, at some point, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you do turn it over. Maybe you do get hit on the interior, whatever. And that's just, what your destiny is. But to me, you run, you spread it out, ball movement, shooting. And again, I think it puts a pressure on the Lakers to have to be disciplined themselves in their game offensively, which I'm not sure they, to me, you start getting up and down. LeBron starts getting a little tired. You know what happens? LeBron starts casting off from 3-point range because he's feeling a little something and he's getting a little older, and it expends much more energy to put your head down and go into the lane again to try and draw that foul. Like, LeBron, I think at points in this series, and I got to give my guy Matt Steinmetz credit for this because he said LeBron is the master at playing 75%, playing at 75% just long enough to buy himself time to know when he's got to ramp it up to 100 and can take it. So he picks his spots, and he knows when he can get away with 75% of himself to have enough in the tank to get to 100 when he really needs it. It's like a pitcher, throwing his best fastballs in the 7th and the 8th innings. But
so you're saying he intentionally deferred in the first quarter and a half,
I think
so he'd have more in the gas tank.
Yeah,
I think you can see it. You can see it just watching the game. He coasts, and I think that's why he gets beat a little more than he used to. Like Moses Moody. I know that was a second half play, but Moses Moody beats him on a backdoor cut. Like, that stuff has happened a lot more because you're just you're thinking about, catching your breath or whether your knee is bothering you a little bit or whatever it may be. Maybe your thigh's a little sore and you need a little extra massage or a little extra time in the tub to get ready for the next game. But I think, to me, you have to run, spread it out. I think it helps your defense engage. I think it forces the Lakers to be patient. I think you're probably going to get fewer foul calls that way too, because the game isn't going to be slow and plodding. A more open game, to me, lends itself to fewer fouls called, which I think also has the potential to really benefit the Warriors. So I think that's the move for Golden State on Monday, is to try and just keep pushing and get back to a more disciplined approach, like the one that they had in game 2, where it's, ball movement, but without the unforced turnovers, really making a conscious effort to collectively rebound. All 5 players on the floor have to rebound if you're going to play smaller, so you don't get hit in the teeth on the glass. And so, I mean, that, to me, maybe it's an oversimplification, but to me, it's right there in front of you. If you're the Warriors, to take what you've done well in this series, apply it, and try to do it if you're going to go down the way that you've had the most success over the years.
Yeah, and on the other hand, probably the Lakers are going to probably go after Draymond down low. They're going to try and get him in foul trouble. They're going to go to Davis. What do you think the way to combat that And two, if the refs start calling that on Draymond and he picks up 3 fouls in the first half, what do you do if you're Steve Kerr?
Listen, they can play zone. I mean, the Warriors actually played like 2 or 3 different zones against Sac in Game 7. They played John
him and really bothered him too.
Yeah, they played John Chaney's matchup zone in the third, fourth quarter. The first half, they played more of a loose zone just to entice them to shoot perimeter shots. There's some things that the Warriors didn't do a good job closing out on 3-point shooters. If D'Angelo Russell hits 1 or 2 3-pointers, you got to guard that guy.
Right.
Because he's a street player.
And Schroeder. Schroeder, all 6 of his 3-point attempts were wide open.
Yeah,
I don't understand why they treat him like he's a horrible shooter. You got to close out. You absolutely do. And Stephen Curry, by the way, he has to play better defense on Austin Reeves. Reeves was schooling Stephen Curry offensively tonight. If Steph, I know Steph's small, but come on, man. There were a lot of plays tonight where Steph was getting killed by Austin Reeves. That cannot continue happening, man.
I think that zone is a good point, because that's what I thought they should have done in the beginning of the series. I mentioned, the Warriors need to play more zone because they're smaller and keeps them out of foul trouble, and it also makes them have to shoot more from the outside because or it brings out Davis to the key, to the free throw line,
right?
And that's where you want him. You don't want him camping down there, down low, where he can get the pass and turn and shoot over guys or bully guys and push him away. So I just want to see that. I think I don't know if, like you said, Looney doesn't seem like it's his series. He's not going to get a lot of minutes. Probably he's just going to get some time to come in, give Draymond some rest, get some rebounds. But do you think we'll see any more of JaMychal Green, or do you think that it is done?
I don't know if it's completely done, but I think he may be an option if there's some foul trouble or some kind of an emergency type situation there. I mean, he's a body that's always willing to go in there and bang around. I think the other thing you can do with Davis is you could start sending some double teams at him. Now you got to be willing to rotate and be on a string and close out to shooters like Frank is talking about. I thought all you guys are all spot on with the whole. If the Warriors treated the Lakers tonight as if they were just expecting them to miss every 3-pointer because they missed a bunch of them in the first 2 games of the series, and you're right, once they start hitting them, it's like, hey, this is a different night, fellas. Like, you got to come out and attack them. But I think you can double Davis and pick your spots and just selectively force him to make some plays with the pass and force the Lakers to move the ball around the horn effectively and knock down shots. That's one thing that we haven't really seen at all in this series that I think could be a back pocket move against him. Just you can speed him up too. Like, let's see how deliberate and composed Anthony Davis is with a couple of defenders flying at him, and he's trying to step back and throw it, over the top, and how the Lakers react to that from an offensive skill spot. So I think that's something you could do, in different spots to kind of, all right, be a playmaker, Anthony Davis. We're gonna, we're not gonna let you just have your way and get to your first or second move and go up and either score or get fouled. We're gonna make you play a little basketball beyond that, and trust that our defensive rotations are going to be better than your ball movement and shot making ability on top of that. So it's a way to make them play a little bit differently, and I think a little less comfortably than they've been able to play at points in this series.
One thing that stands out to me is that the Lakers don't, outside of Reeves, they don't really have a guy who's a 3-point shooter. So just crowd them a little bit, make them feel your defensive pressure, and the ball is going to start rimming out. Every one of their guys that made threes tonight are not 3-point shooters. Schroeder is not an awesome 3-point shooter. Hachimura hit one. Reeves hit one. Russell hit one. These guys, LeBron hit a couple. Russell hit 5, actually. But, I mean, these guys are not awesome 3-point shooters. There's no marksman here. If you make them, if they feel your defensive intensity and feel your presence there, I think their percentage is going to drop precipitously. So to me, you don't even have to close out. It's not like you've got some dead-eye shooter. You don't, but you can't just dare them to do it and let them just have total free looks. If you give them free looks, the odds are they're going to find rhythm. Ramelia Sports Report said, always great watching LA beat SF teams in the playoffs. I guess that's your perspective. Scott Fowler says Reeves dictated the flow of the game, or Reefs. I think he's talking about Reeves, isn't he?
I think he's refs. I think he's saying refs.
Oh, refs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Reeves or refs. Definitely more the refs than Reeves. Okay, well, we're coming down the home stretch. Why don't we get our final thoughts in? I'm going to read. I've got 30 starred chats that I'll get to at the very end, but I appreciate all your guys' time tonight. We're 2 hours into this live stream, still 300 plus people hanging out in the room. So thank you to all of you. We're glad to be able to give you an entertaining show. I always put together what I try to put together is the best basketball roundtable of people possible. And that's why you're looking at the guys you're looking at. Before we go any further, let me take this chat off and put your guys' things back up there so everybody can see. Follow Big Frank Red on Twitter at Big Frank Red. Go everybody sign up for Cyrus Sotz's Locked On Warriors. You can go to Locked On and sign up there. Danny on the bottom here has got his own channel. It's called NorCal Sports Network. If you're in the chat right now, there's 320 some odd people in here. Go sign up for Danny's channel. It's nothing like this channel except, or it's a little bit like this channel except there's no basketball, football, or really, really smart analysts. No, I'm just joking. Danny covers the Giants, the Niners, the Warriors as well. And then JD, of course, you can hear on 95.7 The Game. And JD, give people an idea. It's a Saturday night, but when can they hear you again? Because I've had a lot of people contact me on YouTube and in the chats, sometimes on DMs through Twitter, saying, I love JD and I live in Kansas City and blah, blah, blah. And I want to listen to him during the week. Where can I find his show? And I always say 95.7 on iHeart, but there's the Odyssey app and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
JD, tell people when and where is the best place if they want to find your content between now and Game 4.
Yeah, the Odyssey app is the best way to go about it as far as that goes. I'm going to try and get a podcast out tomorrow. I'm working on an interview. Need to find out if the Warriors are going to practice or have a hotel meeting tomorrow. I'm still a little bit unclear. I know they were originally going to practice at UCLA tomorrow, at least go over there and get some shots up. But that plan sometimes changes after the ball game. But yeah, I'm going to be on with Steiny and Guru 1 to 1:30 on Monday on their show. That's been kind of a regular fixture here, doing a segment with those guys on Monday, and then Warriors Live, the pregame show at 6:00 Monday as well. And then after the ball game, and all of the shows are podcasted. I did a 3-hour Warriors This Week show with our friend Whitey Gleason today, talking about the first two games and Game 3. All of these are podcasted, archived if you want to get them out there. And at JD John Dickinson on Twitter. I'm usually pretty good at sharing the links to everything, so you can hear everything that I'm a part of leading up to and through the remainder of this series.
Good stuff, man. Let's go around the room and have our final takes here, and then I'll let you guys all get on with your Saturday night. And hopefully Bubba's all right after the CBD intake. Cy gave Bubba some CBD.
Okay.
And Bubba's never been so chill. I mean, Bubba's kicking it right now. And
he's happy. He's happy. He's chill.
Bubba's not thinking Lakers Warriors. He's thinking, I see Aztec temples, and my master is a genius. And
I always wonder what he's thinking though when he's watching me watch these Warriors games and I'm like yelling at a TV. He's like, I can't imagine what he's thinking. He's like, what is this? What's going on in this rectangle box that he's talking to?
Yeah, exactly. But let's go around the room. We'll start with you, Cy. Final take on this one. Obviously, this game was frustrating to watch. It's a 30-point loss. This game if you had told me in the second quarter the Warriors are going to lose this game by 30, I would have said no way, no chance, no how. But that's the way it came down. It got away from them, and the Lakers have a 2-1 series lead going into Game 4 which is Monday night in LA. What do you think, Cy? What's your final thought on the game?
After I said the Warriors are objectively better than the Lakers, I had a few Laker fans in the chat disagreeing, laughing about the word objective. And the reason why I say that, the Warriors are the defending world champions. They had a better regular season record. And when I'm watching these two teams play, I mean, the Warriors, there's a reason why the Warriors were leading after the first quarter. There's a reason why the Warriors were leading 40-29. And there's a reason why that lead slipped. Thanks in large part to a lot of whistles being blown. It's not a coincidence. Draymond alluded to it in the postgame press conference. Now, the question is it right to let these refs get in your head and affect your game? No, of course not. And so I think that's a huge adjustment the Warriors are going to make mentally is if that happens again and you're sensing the referees, exhibiting bias or favoritism to the other team, you can't let that phase you. It clearly phased them. There was no question of that. So the Warriors cannot let that happen, obviously. They're going to have to accept as well that certain role players will perform in LA that they won't otherwise perform at the same level at in San Francisco. And I'm referring to players like Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. So that's normal. I'm ultimately still incredibly confident that the Warriors will win Game 4. They're always very self-aware of where they're at in a series. And I think they're very cognizant of the fact that if they lose Game 4, they're in deep shit. So they're going to bring that urgency, which always is an incredibly important variable, is who has the more urgency, who's playing harder, who's more aggressive, who wants it more. The Warriors did not look like the team tonight who wanted it more. They did for a little bit at the beginning, but that faded fast, and they let the refs get in their heads, unfortunately. And I'm confident, man. The Warriors will win Game 4. I'm going to tell Dub Nation, relax, don't worry, things will be okay.
Frank, final thought on this one. We've been going for over 2 hours. I think we've hit almost every major subplot, but anything else you'd like to add to the festivities?
I think another thing they can do is they can change their defenses within the 24 shot clock. I mean, once the ball goes past half court, teams generally have about 8 to 10 seconds to run offense. So if they can mix a man-to-man approach with the zone to draw Anthony Davis out toward the perimeter, I think that will kind of put them on their heels. You got to close out. To give professionals wide open shots, it's just ridiculous. It's unacceptable. So, when I watched the Knicks and I watched Miami today, Miami were the more physical team. They were the better defensive team. And in spite of the Warriors' great offensive prowess, this is going to be a tough man series. Whoever wants it, who's ever more physical, if the referees say, hey, listen, we're going to call some fouls, then be undeterred. You have to be a physical unit against Los Angeles because they're not a great offensive team, So we'll know from the start if the Warriors are together and they are committed to exhibiting a certain level of physicality, because I think that is the one key component that they showed in this series that they can utilize to get on top of the Lakers. So, we'll see on Monday night.
JD, final thought?
Yeah, let it rip. Let it rip. Go small and push the pace, and don't be afraid defensively to mix it up. I agree with Frank. I mean, I think there are a lot of different things they can do defensively. Send some doubles, play some zone. But I think the tempo change in and of itself offensively will help the Warriors defensively as long as they take good shots and they don't have the unforced turnovers. I think that's the most important component to all of that. I think the officiating will go a different way. I think that's not something that's going to be a storyline in Game 4 for the Warriors. I very much believe in the back and forth part of it, to where it's been one game and the next game. I think the pendulum is going to swing back, I think, more evenly in Game 4 on Monday. And just, stay connected, stay confident. There've been a couple of different times in the playoffs where it's looked like the Warriors are in some trouble, and they've stayed composed and confident in those moments and really addressed the fact that they believe that there are things they can correct the correctables, trust your main guys, and ride out the storm and get this thing even. And we're having a completely different conversation on Monday.
Yeah.
Danny, final thought?
Yeah, get the I agree with Frank, on defense. Play some zone.
There you go. Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Play some zone.
What happened? I don't know. How come I don't hear Dan?
It is important to note. And
Oh, there we go. I muted him.
himself.
Go ahead. Sorry, by accident.
Go
ahead, Danny.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Dan.
Go with Frank. With Frank saying on defense, mix it up with some zones, switch it up. Offensively, go back to game 2, put the ball in Curry's hands, start doing some pick and roll, run your offense, get the assists back over 30, have a lot of ball movement, make the Lakers chase Clay, Poole, Steph, make them chase them all around, tire those guys out, and don't settle for the threes unless you're wide open, because you can get to the hoop if you can pull, Davis out a little bit, and I think you'll pull him back out if you've got smaller guys in there. And then last thing I'll say is this is just a crazy, wild thought. Probably won't happen, but just for fun.
Pick up Trevor Bauer.
Just for fun, Game 7, full circle. Andre Iguodala's back and blocks LeBron James layup at the end of the game. Hey, Andre may be back if there is a Game 7. He is practicing. He's getting defensive work in. He's dribbling. Hasn't had full contact yet, but that's coming in the next couple days. So I think he may be back if this thing goes 6. Definitely going to go 5. We know that, but is it going to go? He may be back for Game 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's definitely back for Game 7.
It's a sharp take. All right, I'll go with. Let's lean completely on Ryan Rollins. All right, let's lean completely on Ryan Rollins.
From PBJ.
It's all about PBJ and Rollins. Feed those guys. Sit Steph. Sit Clay. Sit Draymond. Let's go to Rollins. Who else is on the end of the bench over there? Let's go to Lamb.
Kuminga.
No, Kuminga's not ready. I want to go to Lamb. I want to go to Lamb, and I want to go to Rollins.
Can I jump in on Kuminga real quick? Because
here we go.
Well, no. Because
wait a second. If you're going to jump in on Kuminga, let me at least switch the configuration. There we go. All right, JD on Jonathan Kuminga right now.
It's not going to be what you think. Sometimes, when a player's going through something, and we've chronicled, he played poorly in the Sacramento series. We'll just leave it at that. I think there was more going on that we talked about as to why maybe he didn't get an opportunity at the beginning of this series that wasn't just about the way that he played in the Sacramento series, maybe the way he handled not playing in the Sacramento series. Mm-hmm. I will say I thought tonight, and it was a small thing, but I thought tonight the way he handled himself when he was inserted into the game in mop-up duty was completely different from the way he handled himself when he was inserted into the game in mop-up duty on Thursday night in Game 2. I thought he was professional. I thought he looked like he wanted to be out there tonight, which he did not look like he wanted to be out there on Thursday night. And so the one thing I'll say, I'll keep it short, I think Jonathan Kuminga tonight showed a professionalism that at least will give him an opportunity to maybe get on the floor. Like he completed, like the first step whenever you're being disciplined, whether it's right or wrong, is to accept responsibility, even if it's not your fault or you don't think it's your fault, to accept responsibility from the person in charge. And I felt the way Kuminga went out there tonight showed that he may not be happy about it. He may think he deserves better, but he showed a professionalism in going out there, and I thought he played his ass off in the mop-up time tonight. I thought he was flying around. I thought he was trying to be confident. Like, to me, that is not lost on Steve Kerr and the coaching staff. And so I think he's got a better shot because of the way he handled himself tonight to get an opportunity at some point sooner than later compared to if it hadn't happened or if he hadn't got that opportunity. So I'm giving Kuminga a legitimate, serious, positive nod for the way he I think the first box was finally checked, whether he had to do it or not, to where, all right, now the coaching staff will maybe be like, all right, we throw you in there. We might get a little more of that demeanor as opposed to the way it looked in Game 2.
JD, thanks for doing the OT, man. I know it was a long day, brother, but we do appreciate your insights. I do appreciate you going overtime. You're a hardworking guy. I owe you a beer. We'll definitely pay back on that one. Peace, man. Have a great night.
Absolutely. Thanks.
There you go. The great JD. All right. Frank, good to see you, man. Have a great
right.
night. We'll see you maybe Monday night.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sounds good. Have a
Take
great
care.
night, Frank. Take care. Cy, you got a final thought? We've already given you your final thought, but
Well,
one sentence on the way
just
out.
that two things. It's too late to have a debate about it, but to me, playing 3 minutes in a game isn't enough of a sample size to judge an individual. I don't know, I still don't understand why people are saying coming out of poor series when the 2 games where he played 10 plus minutes, he actually played great. So, but regardless, I don't know if the zone is an answer. I do like the suggestions for double teaming Anthony Davis. That could result in something, right? Make someone else beat you. But the zone, it is important to note that the zone is a defense every single NBA player has played there against their entire lives. They're very familiar with it. It's a gimmicky defense that works for maybe a quarter or so, but the zone opens up outside shooting. So the Lakers tonight, for example, hit 48% of their over 48.4% of their 3-point shots. They put up 31 3-pointers. And if you decide to start playing more zone, that's not going to change. It might help with Anthony Davis because it clogs the paint a little more, but maybe you want to run a box and one, and that's where your double comes from. But the zone, the reason why teams don't run it consistently is because it leaves shooters open. So there's a risk that comes with that. But regardless, man, I think the Warriors are going to take care of business in Game 4. I've been watching this team way too much I'm watching these two teams. The Lakers don't scare me. The referees had a huge hand in this, and congrats, Lakers fans. You have the NBA helping you like you did with LeBron or against the LeBron fans in 2016. But the Warriors will overcome this. I'm not worried.
All right, brother. Get Bubba some snacks. We'll talk to you Monday night.
Deal. Later, guys.
There you go. All right, Danny's the last one in the house, and we want to get Dan's thoughts on the Giants before we get out of here. But let me read the 30 30 quick chats down the road. Digital Drew said, Poole reminds me of a newborn horse on the floor, like he just got his legs before the game. Very strong. Very strong. Haruku Atoki, when the Lakers get referee calls, they win. When they don't, they lose. What a great roster LA has. Brian Iglesias, hey, fellas, I'm not too concerned with the Warriors' result tonight. I'm going to make an educated guess and say LA isn't going to shoot 52% from the field and 48% from 3 again in this series. Andrew says, game had no flow. It's a bad look. People want to see Curry against LeBron, and it hasn't felt like that at all. The series has been a flop in all aspects. That's interesting. Tammy McDaniel, Bob Myers messed up. Should have made some trades before the deadline. The chemistry with the Warriors is off. Mark Hope, awesome sigh. My dog loves it too. So happy to hear Bubba is chill. Bubba's on drugs. What do you mean chill? Shanti Ortega, something about Mary, laughing my ass off. Great movie. Digital Drew, how's the dog? Oh, he's great. I got him stoned and he's passed out. How on brand is that for Cy? LOL. That's awesome. Mitchell and Ness, Cy and Clay's dog are brothers. Brothers through weed. Mind Springers, Tammy, you and Cy need to blaze. We got matchmakers here.
Matchmaking, setting things up here in the chat, huh?
Akshay, Schroeder has a punchable face. That's a great line right there. Bay Area Music Lens, Cy's dog is named Kuminga. Eric L. Warriors need Ben Simmons. Okay. Tammy McDaniel, Cy's dog. I had that one in there before. RU's_love. No one can be trusted. I like that level of paranoia. Mavita 916. Someone check on Bubba. Yeah, I think Bubba's had a rough night. Rain King GW. Could we get Chris Middleton? We were talking about trading Poole. I think he wants Chris Middleton. MF. I like Dan's Trevor Bauer idea. That's awesome. Terradome. I detected no malice. Glenn Kuiper misspoke. We just had a female reporter misspeak during the NFL draft about a big D at defensive end. It happens. I didn't see that. Did you see that?
I did not. No.
I love me some Terradome. Terradome's solid.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I just put it up twice. That's how much I like Terradome. Wouldn't be a Krug show chat unless somebody mentioned Trey Lance. Carlo, Trey Lance, QB1. That's awesome. Carlo, trade Poole for Kuzma. I don't know. I can't deal with those sweaters that Kuzma wears. Digital Drew. I agree. Poole plays well from the starting lineup. I'm half expecting to see a small starting lineup to start game 4. Dre, Wiggs, Clay, Steph, and Poole. That would be interesting. Go super small. All I would say is go small, but take care of the basketball. Clarsard, bet you the Warriors are regretting that Poole contract already. It's probably a hell of a point. Alex in the ATL says Warriors attempted 46 shots in the paint, shot 52% from that area in game 2. In game 3, they shot 53% while only taking 41 shots in the paint. So there is scoring to be had there at the Krug show. That's a good point. Thank you for that. We got this one from Alex. What is the best way to keep it simple, stupid with Poole right now? Because he's over dribbling, taking bad shots, missing open shots and layups, and not defending without fouling. I think you got to tell him exactly what you want from him. What I would say to him is, Jordan, you have huge talent. Someday you may be Steph from the 3-point line. That day's not today. So let's put it on the deck and go to the line because you are Steph at the free throw line. And let's make him pay at the line. That's what I would say to him. Eric L says, why does Baller only come on after wins? He's a front runner. That's it. There's no way around it. No. I asked Baller before the day started. I said, hey, you got time tonight? He's like, hey, I can't go tonight, but tomorrow night. You know, it's Saturday night. Baller works Monday through Friday. He's got a family. He's got a wife. It's probably date night. Ahmad Z says, Darvinham outcoached Kerr. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but maybe. I won't even try to pronounce that name. He said, did you guys notice that they switched Vanderbilt off of Steph this game and put him on Draymond and Klay Thompson instead? What do you guys think of that? Well, from the LA's perspective, I like Vanderbilt on Steph, to be honest, because he gives him that length and that athleticism. In some ways, he snuffs out Steph. This series is Brian says this series is very similar to the Houston series in 2018. Dubs against a team that relies on ISO offense, depending on slowing down the flow of the game, trying to draw fouls in every possession. That's a good point. Magnum PI says this is why the NBA sucks. The refs play such a huge role in changing the game. The league wants a 7-game series. Okay. Mind Springers, Rollins is hurt. I was joking about Rollins.
Well, I thought you were serious. Rollins and PBJ, and Baldwin and Lamb and
Eric L. Are the Warriors elated? Yes, they're incredibly elated. All right, and let's see. Anybody coming here in the last?
Someone said in there that the Warriors for Poole's got to shoot 25 shots and play 42 minutes. I'm like, what? If Poole's shooting 25 shots, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. Let's finish with a little Giants talk here at the end.
Really? Do we have to? No.
Well, they're playing well.
They're playing well,
right?
They're playing well. They've won 4 in a row.
Yeah,
and they beat winning teams. They beat the Astros and the Brewers.
Yeah, they beat the Brewers today 4-1.
Yeah.
And Alex Cobb is pitching well.
Hey,
really well.
You got
He's got a 2.01 ERA right now, huh?
Yeah, you got DeSclafani and Cobb pitching really well, and Logan Webb pitched his best game in his last outing of the year. So there's 3 starters right there. If you can get those 3 guys and somehow get Stripling, who goes tomorrow, to give you, 5 or 6 really good innings. If you got 4 good starters that you can rely on, then the 5th one, whether that be Minaya or Junis or when Webb comes back, you can say, hey, the 5th guy, he could be that guy that is good one day, not so good the next game. You kind of expect that out of your 5th starter. But if you get 4 good, reliable starters, you're going to be in the race.
What happened to Gary Sanchez?
He opted out.
Is that because of something that happened, or the Art's playing well, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I think it's because
Bart's hitting
Giants
280.
Bart's playing well. You know, Bart is playing every day right now, which
He's
is
playing
very
well.
yeah.
Catching well. He's framing well.
He's taking the position, and he's become the everyday catcher. I don't think Sable has played since was it the first game against Houston Monday.
They started Cal Stevenson in center today.
Yeah, he's kind of the Yaz replacement against right-handed pitching.
Wow.
Cal
Wow.
Stevenson, come on down, Cal Stevenson Ford. It sounds like
Go see Cal. Go see Cal. Go see Cal.
Yeah.
I got a deal for you.
Yeah,
So
it's like,
and JD Davis is swinging in, huh? He's hitting in the
JD
3 hole.
Davis right
2 more
now
hits today.
is an all-star. He is playing Gold Glove third base. He's basically
What a hose he has too.
Yeah.
He's got a great gun,
Yeah.
great arm.
He's basically taken the position and knocked VR basically out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And he is your everyday third baseman. He leads the league right now in fielding, whatever they call it, defensive runs saved or whatever. He's at the top. He's playing really good third base, and not just picking things that are hit his. He's making some difficult plays, and so that's a huge plus. It really bodes well for the future because you got Casey Schmidt, who's the third baseman of the future, supposedly as far as defensively, and he's hitting 300 down at SAC. He's hitting 300. He's
good for him.
Striking out a little bit more, but and the power hasn't been there as much, but he's doing well. So you've got some options as the season goes along and possibly into the future. I mean, Davis is a young guy. I think he's 29, isn't he? Isn't he still under 30?
Yeah, I mean, he's not old. I mean, he's definitely in his prime of his career.
So yeah, so
what
you
a
got
trade.
Yeah, I mean that was a steal. Farhan, really came up doing pretty well with that one. I mean, especially
how's Haniger look so far? I saw him make a diving catch, but he's not hitting, right?
Not hitting great.
He's hitting 194.
And Conforto's really struggling at the plate.
Conforto's hitting 183.
Yeah, Conforto.
Wisely's hitting 100.
He had a home run today, straightaway center, his first home run of his career. Wisely finally got a hold of one. Haniger's hitting 194, and like you said, Conforto hitting 183. So I'll tell you who's having a good season quietly is Lamont Wade. He's hitting 250 and
438 on base.
Yeah, he's walking a ton, and he's playing some
good
decent
for him.
first
Maybe he's
base.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Guess he wasn't healthy last year.
Yeah, he's I don't know how many home runs he's got, 5, 6, something like that. Estrada hit his 5th today. Estrada's having a great year, hitting 336.
It's like an all-star.
Yeah. So I mean, right now, you'd look at it and you say, hey, maybe they got 2 all-stars in Estrada and JD Davis.
The left side of the infield.
Starting. Yeah, the left side of the infield.
Tomorrow it's Stripling against Hauser. Stripling still in a funk, or is he going to
He's kind of pitched better of late. Yeah.
Giants are almost at 500. 15 and 17.
15 and 17. So tomorrow they go for a sweep, which would be fantastic. They have not been at 500 all season. So let's see. They started out, well, I guess they were 1-1, right? Didn't they win game 2 against the Yankees, and then they lost game?
What do they need Judge for? He's on the Yankees, and they're in last place.
Yeah, the Yankees are struggling, even though
he's in first place. Boch.
Yeah, Boch has got the Rangers playing well, and interesting. There's 3 or 4 crappy teams in baseball right now. The A's, the Royals, and
Cardinals have been bad.
Cardinals are awful, and
Cardinals are 10 and 24.
They lost again today. That's right. Yeah, so the Cardinals are like one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, the A's and the Royals share that at 8 and 26, but Cardinals 10 and 24. They've lost like 12 of 15 or something.
They were picked to win that division.
Yeah, I would think if they don't turn it around here in the next week or two,
Who's the manager?
What's his? Is it Marmalade or what's his name? I
Well,
don't
it
know how
was
you pronounce it.
Schilt, and then they dumped
No,
Schilt, right?
it's yeah. Last year, I want to say I don't know how to pronounce. I think is it Marmalade or something like that.
Sounds like a jam.
Yeah, I know. Pirates have been playing well. They've lost 6 in a row though. They're 20 and they got off to a 20-8 start, but they've had some tough games. They've had to face Tampa Bay, and I think they were playing Toronto earlier than that. So they're facing some tough American League East teams. Yeah, so it's going to be a long season. I mean,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but I mean, hey, as long as they don't fall through the floorboards, as long as they, keep it alive. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, yeah, to me, the NL West looks exactly like what I thought it was going to look like. The Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Padres all in front of the Giants, the Rockies beneath.
Right.
If this were a horse race, I think this is the way it finishes. Maybe the Padres get up and go past the Diamondbacks. I mean, that's obviously possible, but I would probably go Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, Giants, Rockies in that order. The only if is, do the Padres finish second and not third, or do the Diamondbacks finish second and not third? The rest of the division is what it's going to be, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's Ollie Marmol. That's how you pronounce it. For
Okay.
I could marmalade. I don't know where I got that, but anyway, I think he's on the hot seat right now. 10-24 for a franchise that expects to win the division, and you're 10-24.
How's Kyle Harrison in the Giants minor leagues doing? They have anybody in the minors who is kicking butt and on the verge of coming up? Or I saw that they promoted Bailey to AA, or is it to AAA? To AAA?
Yeah,
from AA?
Bailey's at AAA. Yeah. Let me
And
take
this
a
Harrison and Bailey are probably not too far away. Bailey's for those who care, Bailey's the catcher. Harrison's their lefty top pitcher, and they're both on the verge of the big leagues.
Yeah, let me take a look here real quick at Sacramento, what they're doing. I have see, here's an article by Jeff Young who wrote this morning. Are the Giants planning something with infield prospect Casey Schmidt?
Planning something meaning what? A call up?
Maybe
Tell me they're not going to trade him.
Hard to ignore his defensive positioning at this point. It's not
But
likely.
You got J.D. Davis.
Yeah, just a coincidence. He's been seeing more time at shortstop and second base recently. Ooh, maybe second base might be an option with
sit Crawford and play Tyro at short.
Could be at times, yeah, especially against lefties. I mean, VR.
I was at the game. Sorry, not to interrupt you. I was at the game in Scottsdale, Giants Dodgers late in spring, and they played Casey Schmidt at third base at shortstop the entire game.
Right. So I'm expecting if he comes up, I would think David VR might go down. He's not even playing much at all, but he's having he's been productive with the bat. He's hit he's hit at every level, so it's not like
Eddie says DFA Crawford. I'm telling you, Dan, they're not DFAing.
No. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Nor should it. Let's see. They don't have any guys really hitting too many home runs. They've got 4 guys tied with 2 down there. As far as batting average goes, let's see. Who's doing well with the batting average? Bryce Johnson. Is he back yet? I don't know what's going on with him.
He battled concussions, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if he's playing yet. Let's see. Casey Schmidt is hitting .313. Colton Welker's having a pretty decent season down there, hitting .326. They've been playing him at first base a lot. Yeah, they've been playing him at first base. Machine. Ramos has cooled off a little bit. He's down to .262. He was up at 300.
How about Luis Matos? Is he there?
No, Matos is in Richmond.
That's AA.
Yeah, that's AA.
How's he doing there, though? Do you know?
I'll look him up. I want to see how Kyle Harrison's doing here real quick. Pitching, Kyle Harrison.
I saw Matos at Salt River Fields hit a home run, and the guy's got big-time bat speed for sure. He's got strong wrists. He can play center field. I mean, he would be interesting. I would love to see him play on a daily basis.
Yeah. He's on the 40-man roster too, so they could bring him up at some point this year if he does well. Kyle Harrison has 34 strikeouts to lead the team, but it doesn't tell me what his innings pitched is, so I don't know how that is. Their website's leaves a little bit to be desired here. So innings pitched. Let's see what Kyle Harrison's pitched. He's pitched 19 and 2/3 innings and he's got 34 Ks. That's pretty good.
That's good.
That's really almost
good.
2 an inning.
How many walks?
Let's see if we can find walks here. Come on. Base on balls. Let's see. Yeah, he's got 21, so he's walking a guy an inning.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
All right, Danny, I'm going to crash. I'm going to play a couple spots right here.
All right.
I'll let you out.
We'll see you.
We'll see you Monday night.
Monday night. Awesome. Hey, thanks. Have a good Sunday.
There you go. Dan Coach Emilio stopping by on the Krueger Show. We're talking a little baseball there at the end. All right, let's mention our sponsors. Pig and a Pickle, our title sponsor. They got a great spot in Emeryville, another great spot in Corte Madera. It looks a little bit like this.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch on the Krug Show on this Saturday night. It's almost 11:30. It's time for us to bolt for the door. Hey, thanks to everybody, man. Thanks to our sponsors, New York Style Italian Sausage, Telmetrics.co, and of course our title sponsor, Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you guys. In the last 2 days, 2 days ago, I should say, we eclipsed 17,000 subs on YouTube, which makes me very happy. 17,000 subs 2 days ago. Today, as we sit here, we have 17,472 subs. So just in the last 2 days alone, we have gained 472 new subs to the Krug Show. So I can't even tell you how awesome that is, how incredible it feels to see this channel grow, how cool it is to work with people that I love. For those of you who don't know, my oldest son, Kevin, helps me with this channel now and is doing a lot of the videos. So if you click on the Krug Show on YouTube and check out the videos, all that is being done by my son, who's just, he's a college student. He's a great kid. I love him to death. And I'm so proud of him. So he's doing an incredible job. And I just want to thank Kevin, thank Glenn Dempsey. I'd like to thank all the guys who have been with us all year. I mean, the guys like Danny and Ryan and Cy and Baller and Red, Carl Foster. We've just really had some of the most fun I've had is doing some of these basketball roundtables. And during the playoffs, it's so cool to have these guys on. And all these guys have been friends of mine for 20 years. So Baller is probably the only one I haven't been friends with for 20 years. I just met him in the last couple of years, but I love all of their contributions. I love what they bring to the show. I love the debates. Does it get a little fiery sometimes? Yeah. Sometimes we go off on each other? Yeah. But it's organic and it's real, and it's that's all I really want. I want an organic, real, unbiased conversation about these events. And that's what it's been. So anyway, I just wanted to thank all of you guys in the chat. You guys make it. And we're going to start doing more video calls during some of these post games so you guys can jump in here and join us. Sean Proctor, we had him on the other night. I love when Sean jumps in. So we want to do that on a regular basis. But we are sitting currently at 17,472 subscribers. So we still have 225 people in the room here on a Saturday night. So if you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do. If you hit like, that just helps more people find the videos. And if you hit subscribe, you'll just get an alert on your phone every time we go live. So I just want to thank all you guys in the chat. I can't tell you enough how cool it is to see many of you here on a regular basis. And it's just very cool. And I love doing the videos. I love doing the football talk and the Niner content creators and all that stuff. And I love that a ton. But, the community that we've built here after these Giants games and Warriors games and Niners games and doing the kind of the post-game dialogue, post-game show hang is just, it's just cool. I really dig it. And, I see there's a lot of regulars, Carlo P., Ashley, Mark Hope, and so many others in the chat, Tammy McDaniel, people that are here, Z11, Jenny Vega. She says, thank you, Larry. Have a great night. Thank you, Jenny. There's just so many people that are Shante Ortega, 17,000. Good shirt, Larry. Or good shit. Good shit. I thought good shirt. Good shit. But yeah. I mean, it's just so cool to see so many of you guys here night after night after night. And it's just very cool. It's very cool. It's like regulars in the bar. And I don't know you guys, but I feel like I do. We're going to have to do a meetup and everybody get a chance to meet everybody. But I just want to say thank you because, you guys could go anywhere. It's Saturday night. You got other things to do. You got dates, you got lives, you got kids, you got mortgages, you got all kinds of things going on. And yet you guys take the time to join us, to listen to some of this back and forth. And maybe some of it's repetitive BS, but, you know what? At least you're getting our organic thoughts and we're getting your organic comments. And it's just, to me, it's way cooler than anything I'd ever dreamt of when I decided to go down this YouTube path. Tammy McDaniel says, great job, Larry. Applause. Mark Hope says, Kevin Krueger. Yes. Yeah, Kev's great and does amazing stuff. G2 Universe. Right on, Larry. Appreciate you. We got Ron says, Larry, how come you don't do MMA? I love MMA. I watch it religiously, but when the Warriors are in the playoffs, I don't. Or when there's football going on, MMA is like what I watch when I'm not watching basketball playoffs, the Niners, or the Giants. Those things to me come first, but I do love MMA. I talked a lot about it during the pandemic. Tammy McDaniel, that's what makes the show great. I appreciate it. I do think the show's great. I love it. G2 the Universe, Larry, Ryan, Dan, love the crew from for this channel. Carlo P, story. I don't know if I have a story today. Mark Graves says Krug is killing it. I just love how fun this is. It's really cool to be working with my son. It's really cool to be working with my friends. It's really cool that I've got great content friends. I don't know about you, but I think Cy and JD are awesome on basketball. Frank, awesome. Carl, awesome. Danny's more just along for the ride on the basketball front, but he knows it, but Danny knows baseball better than anybody. And I love talking baseball with him, and football. And, anyway, it's just been a lot of fun. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. And Mo says, please talk MMA. We can do it. We can do that. Mark Hope says, Larry's post game fire since 1994. Appreciate that. G2 the Universe. Can I get a Krug Show hoodie sweatshirt from Cyrus? I do t-shirts. I just mailed out a couple today. And Vicky, who ordered the triple XL for her husband or boyfriend, I'm not going to have the triple XLs until next week. So Vicky, I know you sent me a chat. You sent me a Venmo for $35. Believe me, your shirt is coming, but it won't go out in the mail until next week. So, just letting you know, if you're thinking, wow, Larry's taking my $35. No, I'm not. I would never do that. Ron Holder says, I work nights, Larry, and you guys make my nights go by easier. Thank you. That's very cool. That used to be like my favorite thing when people would come up to me and say, man, I love your radio show. I work in my car and you guys get me through my day. And it's like, that's always so gratifying to any of us radio hosts or in this case, YouTube hosts, because, man, that's all we want to do. Make your day a little bit easier and hopefully give you some entertainment, something to kind of chew on as you're moving around doing your thing. That's the beauty of talking sports, is the ability to, just get people and help them get through a day. Maybe they're, working in their car and they're in and out, and entertaining them is very, very gratifying. Thunderbird says, what happened to the guy from 95.7, the game post game guy? You talking about JD? Are you talking about who you talking about? I'm not sure who you're talking about. Unless you're talking about JD. Well, I know, Dan Devone and those guys, like Alan Stiles from 95.7. I don't really know. I really don't know. I'm not sure. I know they're still working there in some capacity. I just don't know. They're probably just not working as many shifts. I don't know. I'll look into it though. GT the Universe. How do I go about getting a t-shirt? Where should I DM you? Twitter or message me. I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter at Sports Larry K and just tell me, hey, I'd like a t-shirt, I'll follow you back. Then you can tell me what size and what your address is. I'll give you my Venmo. That's how I've been doing it, basically. It's not necessarily the easiest way, but it's probably the way we're doing it right now. We will be doing it a more efficient way in the future, but right now, that's the best way. So if you want them, and I have size large, XL, 2XL, and as I just said, I'm getting some 3XLs in here in the next week. We got this one from Kevin. He says, thank you very much, Larry. I've listened to you since the 90s on KMBR. Glad I can still listen to you now. Appreciate you, brother. Thunderbird, Larry, Giants win, Giants win, Giants win. I miss those Giants post games. We got this one from, what did I say? INR 1996. He said, Alan Stiles back to filling in at 95.7 and working on Cron. So there you go. If you're talking about Stiles, good guy. Done some shows with him. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great rest of your weekend. Monday night, we go again. Monday, of course, I'm going to be sitting down at 1 o'clock with the great Raj from RSF 49ers. Tomorrow on the channel, you know what? Because we just had so many things going on, he had a bunch of things going on, I had a bunch of things going on. Me and Vish haven't done our Niners segment on my channel or his channel this week, and we will be getting together tomorrow. So look for Vish tomorrow on the Krueger Show, breaking it down, talking Niner football. So I know there are a couple people in the chat going, I want more Niners stuff here. I get you. We're going to believe me. I'm all about the Niners, and we'll do tons of it. But Vish will join me tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but that's why you got to be a channel member, because when I go live, you'll get that alert on your phone. But yeah, me and Vish tomorrow, breaking it all down. And Vish is one of my very favorites. G. Martinez says, thanks, Larry. Another great show. Kevin says, thank you, sir. All right, that does it for us. Have a great night, everybody, or a great morning. If you're on the East Coast, it's 11:40 on the West Coast. That means it's 2:40 in the morning on the East Coast. We are almost 3 hours into this live stream. Still 215 people hanging in the room, but we're going to call it quits right here. Peace. Have a great one. Warriors lose by 30. They're back at it Monday night. Catch me tomorrow with Vish on the Krueger Show, and we're out.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.